welcome back, Couch Company crew. We're back again here with another podcast for you. I have, as always, Tyler. How's it going, man?
What's up, John? I love the Couch Company crew.
Yeah,
I'm actually okay with
some alliteration in there for you. A little throwback.
No, I like it.
That's pretty good. I was thinking maybe Couch Crew or Couch Company crew. You know what I'm saying?
Couch Co crew.
Well, you have to call your audience something, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to be like one of those guys who calls them the Couch Army. You know,
Okay.
I refuse to go there.
Yeah, Army of 18. Thank you, 18.
I feel like everyone does that, right? Like everyone's like, oh, you know, bro army or whatever.
So I have to actually ask you a question real quick,
Okay.
which I know is we're already off topic or whatever. But so did you 5-star us on Apple Podcast?
No.
Somebody in the world 5-starred us on Apple Podcast.
Was it Nate?
It was not me. Oh, that might have been Nate, but it was not me. Which
Nate doesn't seem like
awesome.
the guy actually to
Probably not. Which means there's
that.
someone out there.
Hey, man.
It might be the other
whoever
Couch
you are,
Company podcast.
dude. You know who it was? It was probably that guy from Reddit, Trap Card.
Oh, Epic Trap Card,
Epic
because
Trap
we dropped his
Card.
name.
Yes, sir.
That's the one thing I should have done is actually hashtagged his name or added him or something like that
Epic
in the
Trap.
description.
Dude, he had some spicy takes. That was a great Reddit post from like years ago. What was that? Worst companies ever?
Worst companies ever.
Yeah.
In the video game scene.
Epic Trap Card. What a name, dude. That's one thing. So my gamer tag sucks. And I've always been envious of people.
Which one are you talking about?
So, like, back in the Xbox days, it was Respawn. Well, actually, so here's the thing. So, Nate is the worst. And he...
Sorry, Nate. Okay.
Sorry, Nate.
Yeah.
He, like, wanted me to... he was trying to convince me there's, like, this cool thing you could do with your name where you put, like, an L and then you put a 2, okay? And it looks like a cursive R or something, or, like, a capital R or something like that, like a cool-looking R. And it was...
like a lowercase L. Yeah, I got
like
you.
a lowercase L
Mhm.
next to a 2. So, like, together it looks like an R.
Mhm.
And then 3, and then spawn, okay?
Yeah.
So what ended up happening, like, depending on the game, the L is capital. It looks stupid as fuck. And then, not even that, it just didn't look right. So everyone thought it was 1, 2, 3 spawn or something. It was like the worst thing ever. I just got flamed all the time for that name. And he, like, I was young, man. And he, like, convinced me, like, oh, dude, this is going to look so sweet, man. This could be awesome. And it was not. It sucked.
That's not so bad, though. I mean, like...
That's not the...
Yeah, like,
Respawn,
it's pretty cool.
That's fine. But then, you know... After that, I got super self-conscious, so now it's like John XP 1290.
See, you were ahead of the curve because Respawn Studios did not exist at that point.
They do owe me a lot of royalties.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. See, mine, whenever I originally got my my gamer tag, I wanted it to be Greymane.
Okay.
Greymane? Yeah, I think Greymane.
Greymane?
I'm trying to think. Yeah, it had to have been... No, I'm sorry. It was Wolfmane. Wolfmane.
Oh, I see.
And I was like, oh, that's a cool name. I want that name.
I like that.
I told my best friend Josh, hey,
No.
I like this name. Well, so you would think that he took it. It wasn't that. But
Okay.
he told his little brother, oh, hey, Wolfmane's a pretty cool name.
Yep.
And he took it. So
Yep.
whenever I'm on there and I'm looking in and I'm trying to get Wolfmane, no. And I find out it's him.
No.
So then I put that in, and then Xbox was like, what about Wolvengard? And I'm like, yeah, okay. And that was
I
it.
loved that name of yours. Wolfengard was like my
really
favorite.
Cool. Now,
Yeah.
I'm actually kind of bitter because I originally had Wolvengard. Then I changed it to T-Dog DeFazio because that's just
Big
what
mistake.
people call it. Yeah, it was
Big
a huge mistake. Then I tried going back to Wolvengard, found out some Southern guy.
Yeah.
Like I'm assuming he's Southern. He's just, his emoji guy is all decked out in like camo and stuff like that.
Right.
But he hasn't been on since... Oh, I don't know, 2013
Dude,
or something.
That's the thing, man. It should expire. That's
It's
what happened.
supposed to. That's the thing I don't understand is it's supposed to
It's
expire
probably a
and
really
it doesn't.
long time. Like on League of Legends, like the things expire, but there's like that's a different story because there's like bots and stuff. Like you'll want a name real bad and you'll see it's close to expiring.
Yeah.
Boom, and
Just
just
someone else
instantly
grabs
picked
it.
up. Yeah, it
Yeah.
sucks. I think they like sell accounts and stuff.
Then I went to Sir Wolvengard because that was a cool thing. Put Sir in front of your name,
Absolutely,
like you're
got
knighted.
knighted.
Yeah.
For sure.
Then I tried going back to Wolvengard because Xbox did this thing where we'll put a number after your name. Don't worry, on most games you won't see it. Well, now I'm Wolvengard 6001, which looks stupid as hell.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, that's dumb. I'll go back to Sir Wolvengard. At least I have that.
Right.
Well, then they also imposed a character limit
Oh no!
And now I can't go back. So now I am Wolfengard 6001. Can't for the like. Well, that's
they
maybe
couldn't
something
even give
we'll
you
have to figure.
6009. I mean,
So,
you know what I'm saying?
something,
At
right?
least be edgy or something.
Or at least let me pick my own number.
Yeah, that
but-
sucks.
Yeah.
Well, does it disappear depending on like? Have you
well,
seen, no?
so I to be fair, probably on some games, but
Yeah.
for Sea of Thieves, which is the game that I'm playing
I'm
most of,
surprised it wasn't on that because that's on the Xbox,
right? But apparently the
Marketplace, right?
infrastructure or whatever was previous. So
yeah, that
so
makes
I'm in there.
sense. That sucks. Fuck that.
Yeah, so
That would be really annoying.
that's
You know
that's
who
what I
that would
am.
kill? That would actually kill Nate. Nate cannot handle aesthetic things like that
Mhm.
that are messed up. Like he would just never play again.
I'm right there with him.
Yeah. Well, you still play Sea of Thieves though.
Yeah, only so Xbox did to like include like a number on like a number of hours played on every game now,
Mhm.
but they're saying that we've only played for only 35 days. In
For
like
Sea of
16
Thieves?
hours or something like that, which is like 850 hours or something like that. But that's over 3 years. We've definitely played more than.
Well, when did they start tracking it? Did they?
Well, that's what I mean.
Say that?
I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
they had to have started tracking it before they implemented the number because, it's fairly recent,
I looked up my like league time played, and it was like 45 days or something.
which is still shocking.
Well,
I feel like
that's what
you
I'm
play
saying.
way more than that.
That's I know because I started playing back in 2015, 2016.
Mhm.
And I've spent a lot of hours in that game, dude.
I mean, it goes both ways, right? Like you can use that where like if your significant other is saying like, "Oh, you spend too much time playing video games," like, look, I've only played 850 hours. And if you
Exactly.
divide that by 3 for the year, like it's
Yeah.
not that much. But
Yeah, it's not as much time as you spend with your significant other, right? So you have that with them.
there you go.
Yeah. But what were we talking about? Really nothing, actually.
Nothing. We were just
Yeah.
saying hi and what's up.
Yeah.
Like,
I was I don't know why I went into the rant about the gamer tag. I had like a flashback or something.
sorry. This is the first time we've actually spent time together without anyone else.
It's
It's bizarre, right?
that is kind of bizarre.
Yeah.
Let's record it. That's our
Let's
first
do it.
thought.
This is our first outing together.
Yeah, right.
Let us make sure it is recorded for everyone to witness.
That's true. I mean, like Nate was the link between the friend group, right? That
Yeah.
brought me in since I'm his cousin. So I have not spent one-on-one time with really anyone in the group, really, besides him, obviously.
Yeah.
So,
Well, you go with like Harbin and stuff and go gamble all your money away.
yeah,
right?
we are
Like, that's-
degenerates. That's a good point. Me and Harbin had made some outings
Yeah.
that shall. We're not going to open that can of worms, dude. Dude, it was rough. Dude, quarantine was terrible for that because sports betting's legal online now in PA. My God. And I literally told myself too, like when I started seeing the commercials, the legislation went through, I was like, I can't do this. Like as
Yeah, it's
soon
a
as I
huge
download
red
this
flag.
app,
Yeah.
it's over.
Right.
You're telling me I can bet from my couch, like watching the game live.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. And give it a couple months, and I was right in it.
And now you're up $3 million. That you
Well,
have.
I was up like 800, but the Knicks fucked me, dude. It was bad. The New York Knicks.
Oh my gosh! What
Are my
a
bane.
football team! I just
yeah,
can't
right.
stand them.
What a sports ball.
Yeah, sports ball.
Putting it in the goal, man. What a great time. Yeah, but that was terrible. So I'm an addict, dude. Betting's too much fun. Have you ever bet on anything? You go to the casino and you go to kitty litter? Kitty glitter.
Kitty glitter.
Kitty litter.
Kitty litter. Yeah. It's, no, I
I'd
go to
make a
kitty
slot.
glitter.
Kitty glitter.
The problem with kitty glitter is you have to only go on your birthday.
Right.
That's important. It has to be the day.
Of course.
You have to take a $20 bill, and you'll leave there with around $60.
Every time?
You can only no. You can only play it once.
Well, yeah, right.
And that's it. Now,
That's
if you
your
go
night.
back to kitty glitter, it will take all of your money because you were a greedy motherfucker.
Absolutely, dude. You
That's
gotta
how it
know when
is.
to leave, man.
Yeah.
Ups, like triple your profit. Damn, that's insane.
The way I view it at that time, because I mean, that was what, 18? I guess you can go to a casino. Is it 18 or 21?
21.
21. Okay, so it's 21.
Maybe it is 18, actually.
I don't know.
Because don't they like stamp your hand or something if you're 18 so you can't get drinks?
Maybe. Yeah.
I'm not sure. I'm sure it depends.
Last
what
time I went to
casino
the
you're at.
keys, they didn't even card me last time I went there, which was
To get
kind of
in?
crazy. Yeah, I felt very old.
Wow,
It's
that
the
is
beard.
Yeah, that's depressing because they're
Yeah.
supposed to card anyone under like 40.
Yeah, well, apparently I look 40.
Damn,
so
dude. It is the beard.
Yeah, that's great. It's
Yeah.
the gray hairs everywhere.
Yeah, they card me every time I go to the casino, even with the beard. But I have not been carded at like bars and stuff for a while, so that's
That's
guess
good
a
or
milestone.
bad. Yeah, I don't know. I wonder if that's good for you or bad for them.
It's fine.
Yeah.
I don't care. I mean, I don't care about being old, probably because I'm not, but
I was going to say, okay, 20, 24.
yeah, give it a little bit of time, and I might rethink that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, what have you been up to, man? You been playing anything or?
Well, we started playing some Warcraft, World of Warcraft. I don't know if you heard of it. It's this what do they call it? Massively multiplayer online role playing game, MMORPG.
Let's get into why I hate MMOs.
Yeah, let's do it.
For a second. Okay, so you brought up a good point. The point you bring up about MMOs is so great. I think it does nothing well.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing about it that you look at another game except for the fact that it's massive, right?
Yeah.
There's a big world that you can explore, which is cool. But the technical aspect of it is never going to be better than a single player experience.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that detracts from me. So, I mean, I guess the story can be well done, but I don't even think so. Like, is WoW's story that great?
So, yes.
It is?
So, here's the thing with WoW, and the lore of it, the story of it is cool. It's interesting. There's a lot there.
I know a lot of people are into that.
Yeah, and it makes you, like, go back and listen to all the YouTube videos, read the... Like, I actually have, like, novels for World of Warcraft.
Damn.
And it's interesting.
Well, that world was started before...
Absolutely. It was an RTS. Yeah,
right,
real-time
exactly.
strategy game, so it was all, like, the point-click control armies and stuff like that. And they made this completely new genre. Oh, it wasn't a new... it probably wasn't the first one, but...
It was the first good one, right?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I would have to look that up. But, yeah, like,
no
that's... It did something new for the time, which is great. And there is that history there. I think part of the reason why it didn't really click for me is it was a little bit more lighthearted. Now, granted, they went into a different direction with it. Now it is a lot more like serious and like main characters are turning evil. And I don't know. Right. I'm not up on it.
Me neither.
But the story could be cool. The problem that I have is like how many hours of, hey, fetch me 9 red armbands, to get to the stories and stuff. That's what I don't like about it. That's why I don't like it.
It's literally 90% filler.
Yeah.
95% filler. Like, you wouldn't watch a show that's like, oh, dude, this is great, but only 5 episodes out of every 100 are great. You know what I mean? Once you get to the boss.
Well, and you're going to probably not love this comparison, but I think of MMOs, it's almost like anime, right? Right. Now, you tell me about these animes with incredible storylines and incredible characters and different things like that, and I agree with you. Like, when you're explaining it to me and you're telling me, like, the overarching plot line, I'm like, that sounds incredible.
Yeah.
But then when you watch it and it's just like, oh, you have how many episodes before you get to, like, the major plot point?
Yep.
Like, that's the thing that I can't.
That's like Naruto. Like, the old school animes did that, where there's filler, because they would beat the source material, so they had to buy some time. Actually, newer anime doesn't really do that. Like, the stuff that's coming out now is like a season's like 20 episodes, and it's just right to the point.
Yeah, I mean, Cowboy Bebop, like, again, I've only watched a few episodes, but, like, it's good.
That's
like,
one
it's really fun.
There's no filler in that. I mean, it's
Which
just
apparently that's a live action thing now.
Oh my god, don't get me started on that. It's gonna be fucking awful.
On Netflix. That's our sponsor for today, Netflix.
Oh, Netflix? I was going to ask you who's sponsoring us.
Thanks, Netflix.
That's a big one. Thanks, Netflix. Appreciate that. Yeah, so the live action thing's coming out. People are upset because, I mean, name a good live action adaptation. I literally don't think there is one.
Ooh. Well, so I'm actually a huge fan of Timothy Olyphant's Hitman.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
It's not very
It's not good,
no,
but it's like a guilty pleasure.
It. I thought it was okay. It was not bad.
I did not watch it. I've actually never played any of the Hitman games. It does seem like a good time though.
That's something where, like, that would be a good let's play. Like, if you have just somebody watching around, you, and just kind of to watch it.
Yeah.
But MMOs, they suck, right? Like, that's you know.
Anyways, getting back to MMOs. So the technical aspect of MMOs are just so awful. It's everything I hate about games.
Yep.
Like grinding. I know that you're like a checkbox guy where, like, oh man, I love seeing the numbers go up and things like that. But dude, grinding sucks. It's here's
awful. The thing. There's a difference between grinding and there's a difference between checking something off. I'm all for if you have something where it's like, hey, here's this open map.
Yeah.
It's all, blank. And as you go to the different areas, you fill it in and stuff and you find the different quests and you just knock these quests off.
Yep.
As long as it's clearing a portion of a map. So, like, my goal is to come into a fully cluttered map and just clear out every point of interest, do everything there is, and just move on.
Have I ever told you about Guild Wars too?
Yeah, no, and that's the thing is Guild Wars on paper
Yes.
should be incredible for me.
It really should, because here's the thing I liked about Guild Wars. I mean, I've talked about this experience a lot. I loved that MMO because how I played it was we literally just traverse the world, and I'm always a hunter, right?
Yep.
I always need pets. So in that game, you like find your pets throughout the world or whatever, and you can see like what you can get, but it doesn't like tell you where and stuff. So you're just exploring the world, like trying to find these pets. Like that's all we did. And what was great about it was the way it's set up. It's so aesthetically pleasing, where like the map's like all faded out until you get to the area,
Right.
and then there's literally points of interest that you unlock, and it's really nicely laid out on the menu. Like it just looks really nice to the eye, and you're checking all these things off. You're going to these areas, and there's like vantage points you can get to. It was so much fun, and it shows you your progress completed. I'm sure other MMOs do that, but the way it was set up in this one, I really liked that, and it was just like
limited number of abilities, so you don't have like 12 hotbars you have to worry about. You don't have to worry about all that stuff.
There's only like 4, like depending on what weapon you have, there's like 4 abilities.
Yeah.
So it was very League-esque to me, where I can understand that with my small monkey brain.
See, I think the issue that I had with Guild Wars, and I feel like this is a safe space. This is us talking. So the thing that I had an issue with is...
Careful, though. It's going to be archived. So
it's archived. And I'm going to put Nate on blast again. We've already said he sucks. But
Nate, we're not mad at you, I promise. I mean,
there's a reason why it's not here. No, so like the thing I have an issue with is typically it's not all of us going into an MMO at the same time. Right. You have someone like Nate, you have someone like Kyle going in, they're playing it, they're super involved with it, they love it, which is awesome.
Yep.
But then if you come in late to it, even if they, quote unquote, start over.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever watch somebody start over on an MMO. They start over for maybe 10 minutes. Then they flip to their main character or their other character that has all these mounts and stuff. They're running around doing stuff, or they're giving their quote unquote new character, fresh character, all this stuff. And it's just like, man, I feel really crappy. Like if I'm being honest, where it's just like
overshadowed.
It's you're supposed to be growing together. You're supposed to be adventuring together and things like that. And I don't blame them, because they've already played all this content before. They don't really care. They know that none of this matters. And even in your mind, it's a new character. None of it truly matters. You get a new dagger, it doesn't matter. Like it's more powerful than one you had, but you're gonna get another better one in 5 minutes. But part of that, and this is the same thing with like whenever you were playing Diablo, that's part of the game. Like the hours spent looking at the different stats and figuring it out is part of the game. But like you feel like you're slowing down the party, or you're just essentially just running behind the person that's already done this. That's when I have a problem with, where it's not super great.
That's how I felt playing Diablo with you. Like even with you, it was like I'm looking at these two things. I'm trying to figure out what point to put my ability in, and you're just sitting there like, John, this doesn't fucking matter.
Well, right. And we've talked about that before, where I made it a point not to really tell you not to rush you, and I don't want to. But like, if I'm being honest, like, is it super fun for somebody that's already done that and knows it, where they're just kind of just sitting there waiting, because they could be doing the same thing you're doing, but they know like, I'm not even going to bother putting the slightly better dagger on, because I'm going to find a better sword later on. Like, that's the kind of stuff where someone could say, oh no, I'll re-roll and we'll do it together. Not so much. Now, it's a little different with Kyle and John playing World of Warcraft, because we are kind of running it together.
Yeah.
But then you run into something like this where, like, I can't play this weekend. Kyle's doing a Comic-Con. Like, John's doing, whatever. And, like, we were together for a day, and now everyone's going to be kind of doing their own thing. And we'll catch up here and there, but it really comes back down to, like, it's a single-player experience for me a lot of the time, and I enjoy that. But you lose a lot on an MMO.
Yeah, man, I just hate how they're set up. It's just not fun to me. There's so many other things I'd rather do.
Right. No, see, I think if you and I played Guild Wars, it could be fun.
Dude, I would like playing an MMO with you, because we would literally just fuck around.
Yes.
Like, that's all I want to do. I just want to fuck around. I don't want to take it seriously. I don't want to be OP and, like, know the combos and what boss has the loot. Like, just slamming our head against the wall to get, like, a certain drop or something. Like, that is the worst.
That's why a lot of the MMOs, like, quote unquote, fail, or they go to free to play or something like that, where, some, like I'm going to say professional MMO player, but like a veteran MMO player.
Yeah.
They blow through the content because they're not looking at the story. They're not like, Harbin's playing and he's skipping everything.
Right.
Which is totally fine. He doesn't care about the lore, the story, or whatever.
Yeah.
totally valid, but you're going to blow through that content way before me.
Right, exactly.
Like, I'm trying to go find little Timmy and give him some pies while, John's going and killing some monsters or something. I don't know.
Yeah, and I don't know. It would be a lot of fun just to fuck around like that. But one way to get me in an MMO is if it's a world I care about as well. So I really enjoyed the Star Wars one, but that's only because I like Star Wars.
Right.
And I thought it was really cool where I could be like a Sith warrior or whatever. And I like loved my guy and it was fucking awesome. And like there's like a big moment where you finally get your lightsaber after, like, you know what I mean? Like all this stuff. It was so much fun, but that's only because I care about the world. So like if I did care about like Warcraft lore, it'd be more appealing. And the thing, like I was talking to Kyle, is like, I would give Final Fantasy 14 a try because I care about that kind of lore and stuff. I know it's different, but like I like that aspect. So that's the way to sell me on it. But the MMO experience itself, not fun for me, at least.
It's always tough because even in the starting zones, like it's like, okay, hey, I'm a starting guy. I have a loincloth and a stick.
Yeah.
And like that's what I start out with.
Right.
10 seconds in, somebody pops this like, Uber mount in like plate mail and they're running around with like a battle axe or something. And you're just like,
you out of it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Like there's 20 people just running around, hopping around, doing different things. Even on like a role playing server, like that stuff still happens. Right. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's not for me. Guild Wars it was interesting, at least the original one, because that's really what I played more than 2.
Okay.
But it instanced everything. So like you didn't have this issue where, like you go to, a main boss and you have to just sit there and wait for it to spawn.
Yep.
You actually were a part of that entire thing where you go to the boss. He's already there. He's waiting for you. He is focused on you, like specifically you.
Yep.
That was cool. That was a cool...
Star Wars did the same thing. Like you would have your main story, and Star Wars was actually really well done because it was kind of like... it was EA, right? So it was like kind of... You had like the dialogue wheel and things like that. And the stories were pretty good, like depending on what class you were or whatever. But I would just rather have a single player game though. That's what I'm talking about. You can't tell me that a single player experience of that would have been so much better. Yeah,
I don't know what the MMOs bring to the table. Like to your original point is like, yes, that was a really cool thing that BioWare did, and they made a good one of those. Yep. But what did the multiplayer aspect really give you?
Nothing.
Short of you could have done that with just like have a co-op version of it. You didn't have to have this massive thing.
Exactly. And like, so what's the pros of having an MMO? It's the massiveness of it, right? So
if you're going to say it's like the community, it's the big raids. Like Kyle talks about these raids that sound awesome.
I know.
But if you have to put 100 hours into the game just to get to the point of doing that, or pay the $60, boost your character so you skip all of the content and you don't know, like, hey, here's a new level 100 orc.
Yeah.
You don't know what abilities you have.
Right.
That's not fun for me either.
So here's how we fix it.
Yeah.
Okay. You're like a level 3 guy.
Yes.
Okay. So first of all, the world you should be able to impact the world. Like territories and gain territories. I know that like some people have explored with this. Like I think the Elder Scrolls one actually does this where like you can capture territory and things like that. I don't know how well it is though. And grain of salt because I've never played that. I just remember hearing about that or something.
Like here's how you do things like PlanetSide.
Exactly. PlanetSide is like such a great example. So you play into like the world where you can capture territory, things of that nature or whatever, and you can be a level 1 guy, but they're putting you in the front lines and you're just fodder in the big battle. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Like I would have fun with that. Yeah. Me personally, you know what I'm saying? Where you're just kind of thrown into the battle. Like what I would think of is like it's just a big war going on. Mm-hmm. And like you have your place in the hierarchy, and you can only have like one character, right? Mm-hmm. And if you survive these battles as a scrub, that's how you start building up. You know what I mean? To get like to your big bad whatever. Yeah. But so you it's like trial and error, I guess, where you keep starting over.
See, I think the thing for me is, and I know we talked about this before, but why does it always have to be combat? Like, why is it that is the make or break? Like, it's go kill this many things, or go kill, this and take their shit. Like,
yeah,
why can't
quests.
it? Yeah, I mean that's the thing is like I wish, and I know I always talk about Star Wars Galaxies, but if there
it always comes back to it.
But if you're talking about an MMO, like look at all of like. You have the battle, you have the standard quests and things like that. But I think to really create something massively multiplayer in today's age, you need something where people can be creative.
Yeah.
And I think that's the main thing is you can't be creative in like a worker. And to be fair, I never got to the point where like you're making your own, like I think you can have a house now or something like that.
Right.
And there was a level of creativity on the Star Wars game, just from, decorating your starship or whatever you had. And like,
right.
To Nate's credit, he's like, hey man, here's the key to my loft. Go nuts.
Yeah, it was sweet too. Like it looked cool.
Yeah, and it's fun for a while, but it has no real impact short of like your stuff.
Well,
you're not impacting the world, like you said.
Yeah, right. And to your point, like it doesn't even have to just be combat, but you can have diplomacy, but it should be between characters, like a la a Star Wars Galaxy, where it's like we barter a trade deal or something. But it's between players. It's not between like an NPC or whatever.
Yeah, it's a market create, and not like just the bazaar of just like, okay, I'm selling blue milk. What's the going rate for it? But it's just like, hey, this person was grinding for hours and hours and hours and hours, and this is the only entertainer in the entire like system.
Yes,
and I need this buff. So then it's like you go to the entertainer, like, hey, please, can you play this song for me on whatever? Can you give me this buff? And it's like, yeah, that'll be 1,000 credits. And they're like, what? Like, you want to put 1,000 on it? It's like,
it's its own marketplace.
Hey, you're more than welcome to go somewhere else. And it's just like, depending on the server you're at, it's like, oh, well, it's either get the buff and pay them, or you don't. And that's the thing is, it's this supply demand that is purely driven from players.
Yes.
Who are making their own cities, who are having their own governments. Like,
right.
I'm sure that could get a very toxic place in today's environment, but like that's kind of this interesting thing where you give players tools, a la Minecraft or Roblox or whatever, even Fortnite to an extent.
And you just let them go. It. Exactly, and it could be so interesting where you have these cities, and you obviously need to have some barriers in place because there's gonna be like griefers and things like that. And I know in Star Wars Galaxy you were telling me like there's safe areas and things, and so you can't just start murdering everyone or whatever.
Right.
But it would be really interesting to create a city, and have different regulations in that city. So some cities are way more dangerous, but you can do a lot more things. You know what I mean? Like a Mos Eisley, type situation where anything's legal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like you want to get all the crazy stims or whatever, like this is the place to go, but man, it's fucking dangerous. Like no one's going to protect you here. This is like a PvP area where you can get fucking griefed. You know what I'm saying? And then there's more like standard, like the capital or something where you're safe here, but there's heavy regulations. There's no illegal dealings.
I guess they did something similar to that where like if you had a capital city, they had like player zones, right? So if you wanted to like build communities out there, you had to spec into a politician.
Yes, right.
And then you had to like level up and you had to get these zoning things where it's like, okay, you can build a class 1, 2, 3, 4 house. Yep. And now you have architects that will let you build that stuff. And like there's these things where you need, all these different people to come together to actually build anything of consequence.
Right.
But if you're around a major city, the ability to build a house, within a certain like kind of parameter around that was limited on the bigger cities.
Right.
But then to your point, like if you have like this kind of like lawless town or this smaller town, you could theoretically build a bigger city than the town itself. But you are always open to raids and attacks and things like that. So then if you ever got that big, you better make sure that you have people around the clock guarding it that could send out a signal of like, we're under attack. You better log on and help us.
See, exactly. And here's the thing that's interesting about that. So it's up to the developers to incentivize like that kind of risk reward. So imagine this. You have a place has heavy resources, minerals, okay? Like mountains or something, but there's a lot of monsters around there. So yeah, you can build a city, but imagine like, oh man, you really got to fortify this city. Like this city is known for like, it has a great watch guard, like big walls because there's monster attacks, but they need this, like it is a resource haven. You know what I'm saying? So like that would be really cool, like and interesting where you put that into the game, like it's in the planet, like in the earth, like, and it's up to the players, like, maybe it goes untouched, maybe it's not worth it. And that would be interesting.
Or you need a certain class to find the minerals.
Yes,
like survey,
exactly.
You have to find that stuff. Maybe you want to pay like a mercenary group to go in and clear out stuff
Sounds
first.
So much fun. Dude, well, this brings me back to like my RuneScape days where when I was a young lad, okay? So
a young lad.
Yes. Like even younger than now. I was very young. This was like close to OG RuneScape, and I used to walk to the library to play RuneScape because I didn't have a computer that could run it. We had like an old Macintosh, so I couldn't run RuneScape. You needed Windows, so I would walk to the library to play RuneScape all day, like in the summer. But all I wanted to do was cook. I just wanted to be a baking legend. You know what I'm saying? Like bake these cakes and crazy pies and shit. And in RuneScape, it doesn't, like, there's no point because it's like, okay, well, shark is the best healing. So we're just going to fish shark, and that's anyone buys. Like, you know, you can have a great apple pie, but it's not worth it, like, efficiency wise. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's too hard to make, and it doesn't have enough reward. So in a game like that, like, the key point is you want to reward players for being special.
Right.
You know? So if I want to be the best baker in the world, and I grind, you know, everyone's going to come to me because I have the best healing items or whatever, like the best buffs from food or whatever it is. That is how you do that, in my opinion.
But then it goes beyond that, because if as a developer, if you just put everything out there, like imagine if it wasn't just you have shark and you make shark and everyone has shark. Here you go. You have a high level shark food or whatever.
Right.
But what if it was something like ingredients where you can have people that go out and you're like, you know, you go to the market and there are people that are doing nothing but growing plants or raising animals or doing something.
Like imagine this, like there's the best pie in the game is this apple pie, but this apple only comes off the coast of fucking Tanzabar.
Right.
And oh my God, it's a death land over there. You know what I'm saying? To get to these apple trees.
Run by the Tanzabarians, and they're just terrible
There's this
people.
tribe of people out there just defending these apples. And you got to pay a merc group to go out there to get these apples. So you're paying an exorbitant fee to get that.
Yeah.
And they get it back to you, and you make this stuff, and you got to be a really high level to make it. You know what I'm saying? So there's, like you said, there's like a chain reaction. Yeah. There's a lot of different, like in the real world, you know what I mean? There's a lot of moving parts to get that apple pie to your plate. And it's a balancing act because you need to make it worth it.
And the beauty thing is, like, there's always going to be those people that enjoy that type of gameplay.
Exactly.
Like me, like, I don't particularly care about fighting.
Right.
Like, someone like Nate would be like, oh, I want to go and fight things.
He might surprise you.
And he might. And he might be a
politician,
fantastic.
I would say. He loves just fucking people over, like, behind the shady dealings and, like, you know, Nate, he'd be able to make deals and
that would be incredible, because we need that type of people. Just like you would need all of this stuff where if you're making these different recipes, what if it literally is these hidden like conditions, right? So it's like if you cook. I'm just gonna keep using shark because apparently sharks. But like,
I think they were back in the day. I might be wrong now.
No, I mean,
hopefully there's not a RuneScape expert.
But like, let's say you're cooking on a shark and it's 6 p.m. and there's just this hidden condition that nobody really knows until you like discover it or something, and you just find that at 6 p.m. if you do it like right on the dot and time it perfectly, that just gives you a little bit better boost or something like that.
Here's what it'd be if it's a full moon. And you're baking this pie.
Yeah.
Outside, the moonlight radiates off of it, and it becomes like a special moon pie.
And it would be interesting to have it so complex that it would just take forever for people to discover stuff. And there's always new things and new combinations of ingredients.
You can't underestimate the player base either. They will find everything.
I know.
So you got to put the fucking craziest things in there.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But my worry is, and this is what everything devolves to, it's just
what's the meta?
Mm-hmm. How do you break that? Because I hate that personally. That takes all the wonder out of the game.
Yeah.
You know, obviously nothing's ever going to be completely balanced. You know what I mean? Like if you are a baker or a cook in that universe, I'm sure there are some things you're going to avoid and some things that are better. That's just the nature of it, right? So, you know, you could do a live thing where you buff and nerf things. That's one option. But, you know, people will adapt and there would be a meta. But how do you break that kind of mold where it's... You know, some things will be more efficient than others,
right? Like that's the problem. Is you would hope that at some point the player base would take into themselves and say, like, "Hey, you know, I'm making this up, but like this empire seems to really be just taking everything over. We should rebel against them." I think the perfect thing would be if you can foster that in a non-invasive way, which again, way easier said than done. But if you can start putting these things out, like where you know, you put in these new systems where if you happen to get into a fight with an Imperial or you raid an Imperial cargo plane or whatever, and you steal their stuff, like start rewarding rebels, just to try to kind of shift the balance and
Right.
tie it into the lore and whatnot. But I think that would be interesting, right? Because eventually, if let to be, you know, for lack of a better term, real life, because that's what we're describing, right? Like,
Yeah,
it's essentially
describing
it's just
real
like
life.
Second Life of.
It's Second Life, but it's in a world that's cool. So it could be a high fantasy setting. It could be Star Wars, like
Yeah,
whatever.
and you could do something different.
You know
but
what I'm saying? That's the cool aspect of it, because I can't be a
Right.
star pilot in real life.
Yeah,
But
right.
in that, I could fucking train my ass off and be like the best pilot ever.
Yeah.
And that would be, and I'm sure that would appeal to a lot of people.
Do you think there would be a situation though where eventually one player guild or faction or something just gets so big that like it just swallows everyone up? Or is it something like, you know, there's always going to be that kind of rebel group, that smaller group that's always like fighting against them?
I don't know. I mean, there's so many variables. It would be tough.
Yeah.
But, you know, if you're the devs, you know, you have a staff meeting, you're like, all right, these guys are getting too big. Let's all log on. Let's start the rebellion ourselves. You know what I'm saying?
And that would be awesome.
That'd be sweet. And what's so interesting about that is I would love to see like who rises up, who is the rebel leader.
Right.
Because it's going to be a player. It's going to be someone, you know? And it's so interesting, like, who's going to be the guy that inspires everyone and you know, starts coming up with the plans. And that's so interesting to me.
Yeah,
where
like,
it's like
the Shroud get on and suddenly he has a following behind
what a
him.
Twitch
event.
game, too, you know?
Yeah.
Like, great game to stream.
It
Like,
could be great.
I mean, you get all your fucking audience, like Shroud, you
Right.
know, and you have 20,000 people for that. That's how you do. Like, you can't tell me that wouldn't be good content for them. Where it's
Sure.
like, okay, here's the impossible empire.
There's
Let's
a reason
topple it.
people are pretending to take just mediocre regular jobs in Grand Theft Auto.
Right,
And that's
right. There are
content,
people.
right?
There are people. Yeah, exactly. Like the role playing on that is big. Like, dude, you can't tell me it's so fun if we just had like a fucking pizza shop
Yeah,
and it was just like it. We're not even the best. We're just in the middle of nowhere.
yeah.
Like we're the only option out there, and we get, you know, people coming in. But it'd be so fun because you have someone like Nate or Kyle who would do something incredible.
Yeah.
And it's like this little pizza shop's got the mayor in their pocket. You know what I'm saying? like they know the mayor or something crazy like that. So, and then it would be so much fun. Like we could be like a cover. Like he starts embezzling money and putting it into the pizza shop.
But
You know what I mean?
it's like MMOs. It's the community, right? Like it's this big group, and there is that aspect to it, which, you know, I know how we were just talking about how, you know, this mass, like what does the big player base bring to it in games like Star Wars or something like that, short of raids and big battles and stuff.
Right.
But that's it, where you can have both things. You can have those big raids, and that's where like all the players come into play. Yeah. But you can also have these things where it's just community. You're just hanging out. You're just talking, shooting the shit, and you're creating things too.
Yes.
You need both halves of that, and a lot of games just don't do that, because I'm sure there's a graph somewhere in some, you know, executive's office of like, no, this is what players want.
Yeah, I mean, and they might be right. Like, how many people want to have a pizza shop or be a baker? Or
Well, there's a reason why there were a very, very select few, again, going back to Star Wars Galaxies, but there was a very select few people that were sought out after, where it's like, oh, I want a certain hairstyle from literally a stylist, and you can spec into that.
That'd be so.
There was
brilliant.
exactly one person in the entire server that could get you that thing because they put the time in to grind that out. Now they made bank, and like that's cool.
Yeah.
But again, like that's something where it's just like,
are there enough people?
Yeah,
like
are
that?
you going to have that one person in the server?
But there's so many things you could do, man. You can be an explorer. You can't tell me that'd be like,
even
from my like I was talking about in Guild Wars. I would love to do a job like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you explore the unknown regions. You have this huge map.
Yeah,
and
well, see, you're bleeding into like a No Man's Sky territory, because the problem is the only way that would truly work is if you had an infinite number of things to explore. Because at some point, everything's explored, everything's documented on an IGN
is that a bad
wiki.
thing? Is that a bad thing?
It is if that's what you want to do.
It evolves.
But it involves to what? Like, I think,
what you do is you continue to update the game, and technology progresses. And, like...
Sure. I
know what I mean?
A new land, or you find a portal, you explore. Like, if you explore every bit, and then, like, once you explore the entire map, a portal opens to, like, another map.
Yeah,
like,
or something.
Cool. Yeah,
like,
sure.
It would be... I don't know. I think that would be so sweet. It's never going to happen, but...
it's like too much to balance.
The technical...
It's too tough.
Capabilities of this would be great. Like, that's just so insane. But Star Wars Galaxies, like you brought up, I mean, that was a rough looking game, by the way. I went and
I did go back and looked at it. I was like, oh,
I was like, man, this looks
pretty rough. Yeah.
But man, that would be fun. That would be like, I would love just having a business.
They made it into like a more arcadey, a more Warcraft-esque thing where it's like, oh, you want to be a Han Solo, a Luke Skywalker, or a princess, you know? And then it's just like, okay.
I was actually, there was a video in my feed the other day where it's like, where it was like a certain patch that ruined Star Wars Galaxy. It was like the Jedi patch or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if it was like the new experience or new
because you were saying like
a
you would buy the game, and if one out of every like, I don't know, 10,000 people got force powers. If you got like a special thing,
you would
or
have
something.
And to be fair, I would have to go back and to see like when that actually changed over. But you would have a game, and it wasn't like you had it and like Jedi was available to you.
Right.
You'd be playing this game, and people found that you would have to just start maxing out different branches of skills. Right. So you would have to go through, and you're like, all right, I found that if I can max out rifleman, I'm making this stuff up, but like rifleman, like archaeologist and medic or whatever.
Right.
Then after unlocking all of that stuff, a new thing happened where it's like, oh, now you can be a Jedi, and you find a holocron, and you go down this like Jedi path that eventually become a Jedi. Now the thing is with that, you have to train to increase that stuff. But also, if you're a Jedi and you're trying to train, you have to be showing those skills in public.
Right.
Theoretically. So now you have these things where these Jedis, because they're hunted by the Empire and whatnot, you're gonna find them in like the Tatooine in the middle of a desert trying to train where there's no one around so they can stay incognito. Yeah. So you have this thing because if you die as a Jedi, you're dead. Like you lose your character.
Right, exactly.
Like you don't respawn or anything.
Yeah.
But you have bounty hunters hunting you. You have smugglers telling people like where your position is.
Yeah.
Like that stuff is incredible because it makes it mean something.
Right.
Now, that obviously had its problems because people were just grinding out different professions, just trying to see if they can get Jedi.
Right.
And eventually they did change it to like anyone could be a Jedi, but there was still kind of like a secret way to do it. And then eventually you could just spec in a Jedi.
Yeah.
And that's really when it kind of died for
nothing
me.
special about that.
Right.
And obviously everyone wants to be special, but, I would love to see something like that be extremely rare.
It just, it just turned into tons of combat, and they were super powerful.
Yeah,
which was a high risk, high reward.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, what if it was something like, how about this? What if you make a character and you're inclined to be better at certain traits than others, but you can still do whatever you want? So maybe like you have athletic genes, okay?
Mm-hmm. Now, is this randomized or is this like...
Might be randomized, but, it would be cool to get to a point where, I don't know, you're able to have a kid or something, and then it's just like your next character. I don't know.
Yeah, Rogue Legacy did something similar to that, where it's like you would have it, and like, every time you died, you had a new person in your line that had just a randomized set of abilities. I think it would be something super cool to every game is unique. Okay. So, like, let's say you sell 1 million copies. Okay. And it might be small differences and stuff, but I really love the aspect of, and I actually fully believe this, that you are the best in the world at something. Yeah. Right? And I mean this. Like, so, like,
wait, in real life? Or?
In real life, I think that there is something in the world
that
you are the absolute best at. Now, the problem is you're probably never going to find out what that is. And that's like, people are saying like, oh, whenever you go to heaven and you ask like, hey, what, ask any question you want. Yeah. That's going to be my number one thing is like, and hey, God might be like, no, you're not.
That's completely wrong.
But I like to think that there is something, and I know that's kind of more probably optimistic than rational, but I think that would be cool in a game where if you had different abilities or different things where it's like, okay, you purchase a copy of the game. Yeah. That is a 100% unique code thing. Yeah. Like, whatever it is. And then, whenever you create a character, that you are completely unique in that world. Okay. Specifically on your stats,
you
or
can
your
still
abilities,
pick what you look like and stuff.
You can do whatever you want. Okay. Yeah. But the underlying workings, either it up front and it's just like a stat number that, hey, I have a 10 strength. Yeah. No one else in the entire world is going to have that. Okay. Or like 10.000. Right. Or it's something where you just naturally grow into this ability where, hey, the cap's 20 on something. Oh, and you're like 21, 22. Damn. But you won't know it until you get to the end game where you're just like, you play through the entire game. It's like, oh my gosh, what's my unique stat?
Yeah.
That would be incredible.
I like that idea. Like, it kind of ties in with what I was thinking, whereas like you're like in real life, you're more inclined to some things than other things.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So like you could be born, quote unquote, in this world, and you could be like, you have really athletic genes. So like anything you do athletically, you're leveling up faster, and you start realizing that. You're like, wow, I'm actually really good at this stuff. But that doesn't stop you from being a bookworm or something.
Yeah.
And you might not be good at that, but you could just like say fuck it and just grind that and become really good at that. But like maybe you're capped at a lower level.
Yeah.
You know, maybe you can only get to 18 out of 20 with that, and you might be happy with that. Or it could be frustrating, but I think that would be really interesting, like you said, like unique copies.
Yeah.
Finding out because people love that, dude. That's the best part of the game. You can't tell me when you're playing a game and you have a secret dialogue option because you're a rogue. That's the best part. To me,
dude, what if there was something where it's like this randomized generator of like, okay, if you have a name that is, you know, has 3 A's in it, that's the only way that like an NPC will talk to you, or just like just these bizarre things where it's
because the NPC has the same thing, like 3 A's in his name,
yeah, right?
Okay.
Like, oh, hey, there's a door here. And nobody can go through the door except literally one copy of the game. Now, once they open it, it's open.
His dad gave him a key.
That'd be incredible.
Like you get one gift from your parents or whatever, and you have this key that sucks. Like you don't know what it's for, and then until you get to that one door.
Think about how many because like how many copies do you sell, right?
Yeah.
So I think
that'd be tough. You'd have to have like. And here's the thing. There will be someone out there who's like, okay, well, technically you fucking can't do this because this is how you make a game. And so that's fair enough. Like, that's, you know, but
it's something different. That's the thing is it's creating
There's
something.
There's got to be a way to somehow do that. Maybe not as intricate as that, where, you know, but something randomized. You know what I mean? Whether it is just
Kojima wanted to do like a type of game that like you had to go outside in the sun and like charge it through solar energy to even play it.
That's kind of crazy.
Or like when you die, the game literally like
blows
is
up.
Dead. Like you can't play it anymore. Like
that's
anything
crazy.
Like that has that hook of just something unique, something that no one's ever done before.
Right.
I think would be really cool. Yeah,
absolutely. Man, that was a tangent, but
I mean,
what a game! I would play that game.
Yeah, at the end of the day, MMOs they all fall under this trap of, you know, they're constantly under the pressure of getting the next thing out, and people will fly through the content no matter what.
But people like that. Like people like
Absolutely.
Kyle like just the grind, the raids.
Well, that's the thing is you're grinding through, you know, most of the game to get to the end game.
Right.
And when people talk about end games, I'm not saying that end games aren't fun. Like I think, especially even in Diablo, like grinding 1 to 70 is not necessarily fun. You're just doing it to get to the end part. It's just like, why are we doing this? Like, why can't you enjoy? Like, why can't
the
a game
journey
be
should
fun?
be fun?
Right.
Yeah.
And I think no one's really unlocked that.
No.
From a multiplayer aspect, anyway.
Exactly. And, you know, but you're absolutely right. I mean, like, pretty much just to summarize, the power should be in players' hands. The world should be shaped by the players, not the devs. It should be natural, and it shouldn't be artificial.
Yeah, and
that's the goal.
Terrifying because I think players will always come up with something better than the initial vision of the developers, just because there's sheer numbers.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. There's so many people where it's going to be something.
But on the flip side of that, they will also corrupt everything.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing that won't be like destroyed in some aspect, either greed or competition or, you know, something like that. But
and it's a game too. So like you can be more ballsy. You're not afraid of your life. Like in real life, you know what I'm saying? Like in real life, you're cautious because you care about yourself.
Right.
In a game, you might have people
in real life after I run a mile and realize, oh, I can't do sports. Then it's just like I'm not going to keep doing it.
Right.
You know? Like,
you don't get the training montage at that point where you. But that would be a lot of fun. I mean, if only it was that easy. You're just limited by what you can do, though.
Right. I hear making video games are tough. Like I hear it's not a cakewalk.
We're gonna do it someday.
Someday we could do it.
But I'm so interested. I mean, me and Tyler have been talking about like doing an RPG maker type thing,
absolutely.
Which sounds like a really fun project.
Everything except the actual coding of said RPG maker sounds incredible.
And there's so many aspects to it, though. Like,
do you think we ever get to the point where, because I think that we go off on tangents and we want everything to mean something.
mm-hmm.
And I would assume that a lot of creative people do that, but it's just, at some point, you're going to have somebody that pulls the reins on you and say like, hey, no, this is ridiculous. Like, you can't have a 12-page dialogue. He's a bartender, or he's the town drunk.
Exactly,
Why does he care?
But this is the spot to do it. It's a stupid RPG Maker game.
That's true.
You know, this is the point where we could do something stupidly crazy, because no one's going to play it, and
you
doesn't
can
matter.
put it out on everything, and it's just it's a button.
You want to see where your limits are.
Sure.
To me, my philosophy would be I want to test the limits. Why can't I have a 12-page dialogue with a bartender? If it'd be optional, but I could just keep going.
So let me ask you this, because so I consider myself a creative person. I consider you a creative person, like musical. Sure. Like we are of the arts, so to speak.
Right. It's the same part of the brain.
I get so bored easily.
Yep.
Where it's like, and this is me being fully transparent and honest with you in our first one-on-one conversation. But it's just like, if you run into anything tough or a different problem, there are sometimes whenever I'm like, okay, I want to really solve this problem.
Yeah.
But there are plenty of times where I'm like, nah, that'll never work. And I come to that rather than like keep banging my head against it. And there are people, again, like Nate, who like to bang their head against something until they succeed because they enjoy that feeling.
Yeah.
And that's tough for me. So like, we talk about like making an RPG and different things like that, where I think we have plenty of good ideas. I think that we would enjoy the first so many sessions of it.
Yeah.
But then I am always anxious about like, do I stick with it? Do I?
Well, here's the thing, man. Let's look at the podcast. Like, that's step 1.
Sure.
And we're on episode 6 with a couple bonus ones thrown in.
Yeah, 5 or 6. I don't know. I mean, technically, this is episode 4.
We're in the single digits, so I should know exactly what episode we're on. But
this is episode 4.
We've done like
6,
right?
Yeah.
And there were every week, and still early, but I'm happy that we're sticking with this, and doing it.
It's just fun. That's all. Fun. It's just something to do. Sure.
Just putting your thoughts down, recording it, and I want to keep I'll listen back to things. I'll be like, oh man, that was cringe, or I don't like how I sounded there, or that was a stupid idea. But I'm really trying to force myself to just push through and like improve, and you know what I mean, just get better at it, honestly. And it is fun as well. Like it's
borderline therapeutic. Like I was thinking about this the other day, where it's just with the, I don't know, I can blame COVID. It's not really COVID. It's just like, you get through these points of, if you want to call it like depression, and it's tough because do I think that it's some sort of depression? Yes. Do I think that it's as severe as what other people are going through? No. So like you almost feel guilty saying like, oh, I'm depressed.
Right.
There are plenty of people out there that are going through way more than we are.
Right.
We live very privileged lives.
Of course.
But you can feel down. You can feel just like this stalled thing with either no creative outlet or just kind of no connection to another person.
Right.
Where something like a podcast, something just like, shooting the shit and just talking through things that you're passionate about, it reignites that passion. Yeah. Where it's just like, there are plenty of times where we talk about like, oh, I hate video games,
Yep.
But if we talk about games and we talk about stuff that we like, or like, a game that we want to play, that's what reignites it and makes me want to try new things and stick with it, which is awesome.
What we're doing, what we did with Final Fantasy VII, that was so much fun. I can't, I'm looking forward to Grandia too.
Dude,
so
I check
much
daily. I'm like, oh, does anyone have it on sale right now?
Dude, it is going to be a blast. I cannot wait. It was such a fun experience. It's just that, being together, that community aspect of it, and just, making it better for each other. And, I don't know. It's just, like I said, I think I mentioned this before in one of the earlier ones, but this whole thing was ignited because when we get together, this is just what we do.
Yeah, we just talk about stuff.
We literally just talk about anything. And I always thought it was a lot of fun, and it would be fun to just document, exactly what the fuck we're talking about. You know what I mean? Like,
and like to your point, we love games, and that's why we called it like a gaming podcast originally. It doesn't have to be, right? No. Like it can be. It will probably always go back to something in that territory. We talked about games for the first however long this has been going on.
This was supposed to be like our free reign, but we went straight to the... But that's our anchor.
But there's some underlying things there, not to get like super deep or anything, but like from a psychological standpoint, there are things that, it might kind of come out in video game form because that's what we know, and that's like a common language. But, it's based off of, either things we need in our life or our views on the world or what we're looking for to make ourselves feel good.
Right.
Like, I think that's interesting, at the very least.
Yeah, no, I think you hit it right on the head when you're talking about creative outlets and stuff. Like, I look forward to this every week.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, oh man, I can't wait. What are we going to talk about this week? And like, what crazy ideas we're going to have, you know what I mean? So it is a blast. And, I can't wait to continue to like just have like, because we'll just talk like after this. It'll be like, oh man, what if we did this and that? And they're like these crazy, like I'm a person who just shoots for the moon.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like,
go all in. Yeah,
exactly. Like, I just like, my ideas are just, 150% or whatever. Like, it's just
I'm just the guy that like grabs on your ankles and just carry me to the moon. Like, I will propel you.
Yeah.
Like, I will hype you up.
Right.
But man, I am like the opposite of like, if I don't think something's worth it or a payoff there or something like that, I am way more conservative on that. So like, we kind of balance each other out.
Yeah, I do I love our dynamic. And but yeah, I just have all these ideas like, oh man, we could do a skit like this. What if we did a video like that? Or this and the other thing. And there's like so many things that run through my head, and that gets me really excited. And we're still on step one where we're just recording what we talk about.
Right. There's not like a solid thing we're shooting for.
Maybe it'll never be realized, but I like the pursuit of, you shoot for the moon and you might get to the clouds. You know what I mean? And that's good. You know what I mean?
It's something to fill our time and get that creative aspect, the therapeutic moments. But
yeah, no, definitely. But that was a little more serious than I was ready for.
Yeah, we brought it down a little bit. You want to take a quick break? Get another beer, and then we'll
short break, and we can continue.
Sweet.
I like it. And we're back here with Tyler, as always. I forgot what we were talking about, but you like soup?
I like soup. What kind of soup do you like? What are we talking about?
I'm running down, my favorite soups of all time. This is kind of a meme, by the way, for the audience. We were just talking about soup one day, and we started making a tier list or something. Got a little wild. Favorite soup of all time is French onion. But I feel like you need a good bread with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, are you talking like a pumpernickel?
I don't know. What's the best combination with French onion? I actually have no idea.
I feel like you need a harder bread, right? Because you're talking putting it on top of it, like a hard crouton,
right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean pumpernickel. That sounds pretty.
I love pumpernickel bread on that stuff.
Yeah, dude, it's a good one. But
I would do that. See, I'm a wedding soup guy.
Well, yeah, you're telling me the not hardiness, but like the.
Yeah, it depends on when you're eating it, right? So, like, if I'm going to eat a soup for a meal, then you need something like a wedding soup where it's like you have that meat, you have the little... Do you go with the rice or do you go with the ball noodles? I don't know what they're called. I don't know what the Italian name is for that.
I've had both.
Chelsea makes it with rice.
Okay.
Now, me personally,
I think that's more common.
I like more of the pasta. So I like the little round balls, like a la... I used a la twice in this podcast. 3 times if you count what I just said right there.
I think you're trying to tell us something.
I know. A la for... I like the Olive Garden wedding soup.
Oh, yes. Yes. That is good. I haven't been to Olive Garden in so long. We need to get them as a sponsor. Do they have money still? Probably not.
No, they put it all in the pasta that they put
That's what I'm saying. When you're not selling the breadsticks for anything, how much money are you actually making?
Although we were just there recently, and it's fine. I don't know.
What, the breadsticks or just the whole
experience?
The
whole experience.
I got
their soup and salad, and it was like,
awesome.
This is fine. Like,
it's fine.
It's bread.
It's just, dude, there was this one video where these Italians went to Olive Garden, and it was blasphemous to them. They were like, what the... Like, these old Italian grandmas...
Sure.
Who, like, make Sunday sauce and shit like that.
Who, like, take the noodles and, like, drape them over a chair as they make them.
They're making it for their mob boss son. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
everyone comes over. Louis.
Yeah.
Vinny. Frankie. I love Frankie.
All the E's.
Frankie's okay.
Frankie's all right.
Yeah. His sister's hot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 10 out of 10.
Yeah. I was trying to think of an Italian woman's name, and it was not coming to me at all.
Janine? I don't know. That's probably not right.
Are you serious, Janine?
Isabella?
Probably. That sounds more like it, actually. Anyways, oh yeah, they went to this Olive Garden. Long story short, they were like, "This is the worst food I've ever did." Like, it was so insulting to them. They were like,
I mean, that's probably like someone that's like a Mexican, cuisine expert going into like a Taco Bell. Yeah,
absolutely. But it's for $1, man.
Yeah,
the $5 box is like one of the best deals on the market.
On the Taco Bell. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, the Taco Bell is fantastic. But I think they go with the American Mexican or whatever they call it. So, Ameri-Mexican.
Mexican. What is it called? There's a fucking word for it.
Yeah, I think it's Ameri-Mexican.
Okay. I don't think that's it, but whatever.
Mex-American?
I don't know.
It's Ameri-Mexican. I would put money on that.
Americano.
I would bet you a $5 box. That's right.
I don't want to. I want to eat that $5 box. Is Taco Bell your favorite fast food place?
No, Wendy's.
I just had Wendy's. It is really good. What do you get at Wendy's?
Well, I used to always say just number 2 with large, like biggie size with whatever. Yeah, but a double, whatever the double is.
Just like a double cheeseburger.
Yeah.
I used to get the Baconator. So here's the thing: if you know anything about me, it's that I'm a rut person, which means you say in a restaurant, I'll tell you what I get every time.
Mm-hmm.
So there was big waves in the John community because I switched I had a whole press conference about this where I switched my order from Wendy's, a couple years ago.
From the Baconator.
Yeah. I got up on the podium and I said, I'd like to announce I am no longer going to be getting Baconator at Wendy's. I will be getting a Dave's Hot and Juicy #1 triple. The triple. And here's why. The triple is less money than a Baconator, which is only 2 patties.
Mm-hmm.
Why in the world am I paying more money for a whole third less just to put bacon on that? It's not like their bacon's like anything spectacular.
How much is the bacon by itself? Like sometimes they have the pricing all jacked up where if you just add bacon after the fact, it's actually cheaper.
Can you? I don't think you can do that at Wendy's.
I mean, you could at McDonald's. I don't know. I would assume you could.
I don't know.
Can you not just or what you do?
Because they have a Baconator, so that wouldn't make sense.
Do they still have the Junior Bacon Cheeseburger? I would assume so. Isn't that for like $1?
No. Is
it's
it?
Not? I don't know.
Junior Bacon
I thought that was on the dollar menu. Like if you get a Junior Bacon Cheeseburger for $1,
yeah,
then
just get 9 of those, and that's a Baconator.
Like bare,
exactly, right.
Bare minimum, like you're gonna have some bacon for $1. It's got to be less than that, right?
Dude, the Dave's Hot and Juicy triple is just like that'll fill you up, man. That's a lot of meat.
Yeah, especially when you add the fries. See, I love the fries.
The fries are great.
Do you eat the burger or the fries first, or do you kind of mix
fries
it up?
First?
Yeah,
always.
Yeah, me too.
Which might not be the correct way.
It is not the correct way because you lose out on the burger.
You lose out on the burger, but I take that sacrifice every time just because there's something primitive in me that just wants to reach for the fries. I don't know. It's like we need to have a deep psychological analysis.
It's ironic because I view the hamburger as like the main entree, which is correct.
Yes.
As it is.
Yeah.
The problem is I enjoy the fries more, but I like to save the best for last. So you should leave the fries for last, eat the burger first, and that just makes sense.
You want them fresh. You want them fresh.
Right. That's why I always eat the fries first. It makes zero sense to me.
Well, here's what we need to do. There's a lot of things we need answers to.
Yeah.
So we go get MRIs done. Okay.
Yes.
All right. And the first question they ask us is, why do you eat the fries first? That's a good starter. Mm-hmm. And then we eventually get to what's the best game of all time. And man, those really...
And then that just kind of put the two together and...
Well, dude, I mean, we want answers, maybe like how our brain lights up will give us answers.
Not to bring it down, but I'm terrified of that where like we're going to be doing that and they'll be like, hey, you have a tumor on there. There's a giant spot. Yeah. It's like, that's what I am super fearful of.
Oh, wouldn't you want to know that like early on?
I don't know. Would you?
Yes.
Yeah, but probably.
I would like to address the fucking problem in my head. I don't know about you, but
dude,
it seems like a smart call.
I haven't been to the doctor since I've been like 16.
Neither.
It is but
the last time I've been to a doctor was a pediatrician.
Yeah,
that's fucking crazy. Actually,
I actively know that I need to not do that.
Yeah, I mean, hey, your body's going to tell you eventually if something's wrong. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, so the only thing that I'll go to the doctor for right now, and I don't know how we suddenly got from soup to the doctors, but the only thing I'll go to the doctor for right this minute is anything to do with my ears. So I had an ear infection, did not go to the doctor. Okay. And I was like, I'll get better. Turns out ear infections just don't get better on their own. They do, but oh my God, it's painful. And it was to the point where I literally was deaf in an ear. So, super dumb.
Yeah.
Bright side of that, I can remember clear as day. I was sitting in the cafeteria and my ear popped and I could hear again. But because I hadn't been able to hear for I'm talking at least 3-4 weeks. Oh my! It's been a long time, right? And I could hear again, and it was like I was freaking Spider-Man or Superman or any other superhero that could hear everything. Where I'm like, I can hear what they're saying in like the booth across the cafeteria.
That's amazing.
It was
dude.
amazing. It was like it was almost scary. Where I'm just like,
Yeah.
I think I can hear people's thoughts or something. You know, like whatever.
Hear their heartbeats.
Yeah, straight up Daredevil.
That's sick.
That's something like ear infections are no joke.
Yeah,
Do not
I
let them go.
I got an ear infection like maybe once in my life as a kid. It hurt a lot. It was so painful. I fucking hated it because it just like, oh man,
Buddy, I can't wait till you're 30. It's so bad.
Dude, I'm starting to feel
you're freaking Superman right now. And
no, I'm not, dude. I'm starting to feel it. Like I'm playing baseball again. I play like in an adult league now, and I'm like, wait, I have to stretch. What the fuck? Why am I sore? Like, dude, I'm like, oh my god. I feel like such an old man. I used to fucking play, man. I would go out, never stretch, never do anything. You do whatever you want, dive all over the place, and you're fine, man.
Yeah.
And now it's like you wake up the next day and you're sore? What is
Buddy,
this feeling?
I would not be able to get out of bed at that point.
That's what I'm saying. It's only going to get worse for me, man.
It
I'm
is.
not
It's
looking
all
forward
downhill.
to it. I know.
Oh.
Holy God. I'm not looking forward to that, dude. Maybe if I have enough soup.
Soup is good.
Soup
so
is really
so
great.
we're in agreement that French onion, like a good French onion soup is the best soup. Is that
No,
what we're saying now?
I don't think a French onion's the best soup of all time. It's
Oh,
just my favorite.
what's the best soup of all time then?
See, I mean, really, you have to go into the deep philosophy of soup.
Yeah.
What classifies as a soup? Now, is a soup an umbrella term for stew, for chili?
We're gonna go down that.
That's
thing.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I mean, is soup determined by the viscosity of the food, or is it like what is the definition of a soup?
That's tough. So the problem is if you put chili in that, then
I've had some pretty watery chilies.
chili would have to win, right?
That's what I'm saying.
I know.
Or stew,
I know. Last
like,
time
I
we
love
talked
stew.
about like a watery mac and cheese.
Exactly.
You know,
Now
like,
you're
is
putting
that
that in
something-
there. It's
yeah.
like, is any soup going to be like in my top five?
like
If all this
cereal.
stuff
Like what is the?
Oh,
Like,
God.
can you microwave some cereal?
Jesus Christ, dude, that's we're getting way big brain for this. Way too big brain for this.
See, I if you want to put chili in there, I would actually probably take it chili as my favorite over French onion even.
I can respect that. I don't think I would do the same. I do like chili, but French onion's so good, and I never get to have it, so that's probably why I like it
We
so
had
much.
the best French onion soup. I want to say it was not Hortons. I don't know, something. It was some fancy upscale thing where like you
Yeah.
take a sip of water, they run over and refill it and whatnot.
But
But it was like $12
wow.
for a cup of this soup, and it
Must have
was
been good.
incredible.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
It was French onion?
It was French onion.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had like actually, I want to say it was pumpernickel bread.
Dude,
on
maybe
it
that's the combo,
with,
man.
with just some cheese on it. Oh my gosh, it was so good.
So if we're allowing combinations, tomatoes up there with a grilled cheese. I mean, that is such a classic one too.
Sure. But I would never eat, like we said, like I would never eat tomato by
without
itself.
it.
Yeah, no, it would have
Exactly.
to have a grilled cheese next to it.
What other combinations? Oh, here's actually one for you.
Mm-hmm.
Name a hot and cold combination. This is a hard one.
No,
Like
it's super
food-wise.
easy. Chipotle burrito.
What?
Yeah, no, you take the burrito, you have all the hot like condiments and things like that, but then once you put the cold like sour cream, the cold cheese on it,
Oh, I see.
that's
Okay.
perfect.
Yeah.
Another thing that I eat every single day is hot egg whites, and I put some cold salsa on there, and you get that hot cold combination. This
Interesting.
probably isn't what you're talking about,
No.
but that's what I go for.
No, that's what I needed because I remember I was posed this question and I could not remember. Just couldn't think of anything for the life of me. Like, there's one I'm not thinking of that's like pretty.
Hot fudge sundae.
Well, I mean, I usually go straight to dessert, like a bazooki or something. You know,
Okay,
Where they-
fancy.
dude, those are amazing.
What are they? I don't even know what that is. I
It's-
never
you've
heard
ever been
bazooki
to-
before
Yeah,
in my
you
life.
ever been to BJ's?
No, I don't think so. Maybe once, but I never
Yeah,
got it.
so they have these things called bazookis, where it's like a pizza. It's not a pizza. It's like a cookie cake, but it's like pizza esque. You know what I mean?
Okay,
But think like cookie cake, and then they put ice cream on it, and it's delicious.
sounds good.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah.
It's amazing. That's a
Huh.
great hot and like ice cream and whatever, like
Got it.
a cookie, I guess.
Okay,
Like
sure.
ice cream and like I guess it'd be like fudge.
Yeah.
Like a warm fudge,
Mhm.
something, or a brownie. That's what I'm thinking of. Like ice cream and a brownie, like a hot brownie.
Yeah, but like the ice cream eventually just melts on it. It's just like a soggy brownie, right?
Yeah, I
Unless
guess
you eat it fast enough, sure.
You should eat it fast enough. I'm very quick when I eat, so I never have to worry about that.
I am absolutely more of a savory guy than a sweet.
Savory guy?
Oh man, I'll crush a bag of potato chips before I'm like gonna crush a pint of ice cream. Don't
Absolutely.
get me
No,
wrong.
I'm the
I'll
same-
do the
same
ice
boat as
cream,
you,
but
yeah.
I'm always like
I'm the
salt
same boat as you.
and crunchy.
I really don't like candy. Actually,
Yeah,
I don't like
either.
candy. It's
Yeah.
never worth it.
Right.
You know, even like a Kit Kat, which is probably my favorite candy bar.
Kit Kat is.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think of what mine is.
maybe
Like,
Twix. Maybe Twix.
Twix always used to be mine, but I had one recently. And it was like so sweet.
Right or left side though.
For a Twix,
Yeah.
I would always go left side because I'm left-handed.
Well,
but
that's why the right
'Cause you have
side.
to do the right side?
They've
I
upped their
knew
game.
it.
They have upped their game.
I would assume that you determine that based off of like the front of the package, and then you read left to right.
Yeah. You get
So you
like a
have to
left
hold
or
it a
right
certain
one
way.
now. They just implemented their new CFO over at the right factories, like what's his name? Like Greg Hofster. They just look him up.
Hofster, but that's with a PH.
Yeah,
Like
of
Hofster.
course.
Yeah. I
So
know
he's
him.
from
Yeah.
Belgium, and so he knows his stuff. You know what I'm saying? The cookie to the crunch ratio, I'm telling you, they've stepped up their game.
Yeah, I
Right
just
has
feel
really
like
made
it's
a huge
little,
comeback.
It's a little oppressive to left-handed people. That's all I'm saying. Like we are conditioned as a left-handed species to pull that left side, so
Right.
we just always get the
No,
the wrong
I
and sick.
understand,
We
dude.
already have a shorter lifespan,
Right.
and you're going to take Twix away from us. I feel
Hey,
like that's just rough.
I feel for you left-handed guys. Like, you know, you get beat up back in Catholic school.
Yeah, I mean
for
we're
being-
normally more creative too, so like we're
True.
never the popular people. We're always getting picked on by the jocks
sheltered
and stuff.
yeah, because you're using the wrong hand, and that's just
We're just in our own little communities because we all have to eat. You know, like we don't bump each other's elbows.
Is there
and
is there
things
like a
that.
left-handed thing? Like you see a left-handed guy, there's like a sign, you flash him with your left hand or something. Like you know. You know what I'm
I
saying?
think it's just kind of like you look at him or her and you just
Right.
know.
You just know.
Like you just kind of do like a nod.
I feel like girls do that.
Yeah.
You know,
Mhm.
they nod to each other. They just know.
Yeah. It's I equate that to like if you're driving like a pickup truck,
Yeah.
you drive past another guy with a pickup truck, you just
Yeah.
kind of like wave or you're in a Jeep or
here's
something
the thing.
like that.
So motorcyclists actually do this.
Sure.
They do this thing where they put their hand down low or something. It's like a peace sign. I don't know what it is, but it's
Yeah.
some sort of sign. They literally do that.
Yeah, they just do like a little circle with their pointer finger and
Yeah, dude, is
and
that what it
thumb.
is?
Yeah, but then if you look at it, you get a punch. Is that what you're talking
No,
about?
I know that game. No.
okay, yeah.
Motorcycles actually had the, because I was driving one day, you know, as you do,
Sure.
and I saw these two guys do that. They were going opposite ways, and
Yep.
they did this thing where they put their hands down. Maybe they were in the same gang, but
Yeah,
I
it's
asked
probably
my
just
friend
gang
about that,
signs,
and
yeah.
he says, "Oh yeah, it's a thing motorcyclists do."
We'll have to talk to Kyle about that. He might know.
He might know. Yeah, he's the guy to talk to about that.
About most things.
They both had Harleys though. Maybe it's conditioned on what type of motorcycle. Because Kyle has like a does he have a Honda or something?
Excuse me. Maybe he blacked it out, which looks sick now.
He has like a crotch rocket though, not like a chopper
No,
or
I think
something.
it's a bigger. It's
it?
not like a giant,
No,
massive
no.
Harley or anything.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's. I think it's a bigger one now.
Okay, I don't know. Yeah,
I don't pretend to understand
maybe
the
he'll
inner
know.
workings.
I
of
don't
that.
know anything about anything.
Yeah.
As you probably can tell.
You know a lot about the inner workings of the Twix company, though, so that's actually kind of
Well, I'm on
impressive.
the inside with that. Nate's been trying to get me into stocks, and I've been really looking at right Twix.
Yeah.
So for any of you out there who are looking for a little bit of a to be ahead of the game,
See, I wonder if we could write him a letter. Well, I could write him because you don't carry your right-handed. But if I could be like, do like a Twix variation of like, oops, all lefts,
oh,
right?
well, no, that's the thing, right?
Is it?
Aren't they literally packaging them where it's like, this is left Twix
This
factory?
This is absolutely news to me. If that's the case,
I thought that was like their actual, like I'm not even memeing at this point. I think that was actually like their campaign where like they would have the commercials or that like there's the two factories next to each other and they're like
Yeah.
rivals.
I didn't
and
know
they'd
any
be
of
coming
this.
out-
I was just trying to riff with you.
Oh no, you were, but it's actually a thing.
That's
It's
why I
not
learned
like I was
something new today.
completely
Okay.
making it up. There's a right versus left
That's
fucking
actually
thing
kind
going
of awesome.
on. I know.
It's kind of like the toilet paper. Do you put the toilet paper above or below?
I really don't pay attention. Honestly.
Really?
Yeah.
So for the longest time, so I
maybe
just,
above. I'm
just for
sure
the
I
record,
do
I
it
put it above.
consistently. Yeah.
I think above is correct.
Okay.
But
Whoa,
for the longest time,
that's
as
a heavy correct. That's a heavy word.
I mean, that's the way I think.
You toilet paper snob? How many plies you use?
Not really. I couldn't even tell you. We
Yeah,
just get
me
like the big box. Like
you don't get that Charmin
50.
shit though.
We do. I think it's like
Like
soft.
the real big fluffy
no,
one.
like where one sheet like clogs your toilet because it
That's exactly.
inflates by
Yeah, plumbers
like,
literally
10
will
times.
tell you, they're like, dude, stop buying this.
Yeah, like you may as well
You're
just wear a
destroying-
diaper
yes.
and flush that.
Exactly. Man,
No,
those
but-
commercials fuck me up though.
We as a kid we used to have this radiator in the bathroom, and if you put it over whenever the hot air or cold air blew out of like the vent, it would undo the toilet paper. So you go into the bathroom and it's just this long paper trail on the floor. So we always had to do it under because for whatever reason, like the weight of it or the way it was angled wouldn't catch. So for the longest time, I thought that was the quote unquote correct way of doing it. It was
in your house.
It was in that house, but
I had a normal house where I could do it any way I want, but I think I still do over
300-year-old mansion.
Yeah, because it falls over nicely.
Yeah.
You know, whereas it's under it, it could just hang down.
I just think it's easier. Like you can put your other hand, you hit it, you stop it, it tears nice.
Yes. Yep. I think we're on the same page with the toilet paper.
I think that would be the general consensus.
Dude, we should have a governmental department where they take polls, like in the census, of these fucking questions. Like, this is what we need to know.
Yeah, this is
as a country,
as
a world.
This will unify us. You always talk about these bipartisan things.
Or you could start a war, but that'd be cool too.
Well, I mean, you would certainly...
The ups versus the downs.
Do you think people are more... Like, if you talk about what people align with, right? Like, everyone really likes to feel special. Everyone likes to...
Hey, we made an MMO that really captures that sentiment. You know what I mean?
Well, it's all about, like, what side of what issue do you fall on?
Right.
Do you think that and this might be too deep to go through, but do you think Democrats, Republicans is that your prime? I'm trying to understand what I'm trying to say. Like, do you think that's the prime differentiator, or do you think there are other things that people are like?
It is such a scam because if you actually look at like people as human beings, there's so many different belief structures that they have where they fall on both sides at some point. Right. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like this is way too serious for me. By the way, I was literally about to talk about the Charmin bears wiping their ass, but I guess we can do this. Which fucks me up, by the way. How can they show that shit? Anyways, not to get
the bears.
They're just wiping themselves. And they do these dances where it's like, man, look how clean my ass is.
Again, being fully transparent, like I cannot. If I have to go to like a number 2 outside of the comfort of my own home.
Oh, you're one of the people who can't do it?
I can't. I mean, it's got to be it's a problem.
Yeah. I can do it anywhere.
I can't.
That's my superpower. Nope. I don't care. It could be the worst fucking... Dude, I've been in some bars, man, where you'd probably have a heart attack.
I would die. Yeah. I would literally... Yeah. I mean, that's...
I don't care.
No, I can't do it.
Anyways, yeah, the reason I don't care, by the way, dude, this is so bad. I will get back to your point in a second, I promise. I will circle back. The reason why I don't care is because, dude, toilets are not that dirty.
Oh, I don't care about the toilets. I don't care about. I don't.
You're just uncomfortable.
I am so uncomfortable. I am so like self-conscious. I cannot. Like,
well, yeah, I have trouble. I don't want to be in with
my fiance, the woman I live with, am going to marry in less than a year.
Right.
Like, if she's on one end of the apartment, I will be on the other end of the apartment. Like, we have 2 bathrooms on opposite ends of the place.
Yeah.
Whichever is farthest from her.
Okay.
That's the one I will go to.
Wow.
That's how uncomfortable I am.
I get that. I am the same way with sleeping. I cannot sleep. I used to be able to do like sleepovers, but at some point I was just like, I need to be in my own bed. I can't do this. Sure. So I will go home, and even when it's way inconvenient.
Buddy, I would at lunchtime at work, I would drive a half-hour home to go to the bathroom and then drive a half-hour back.
There's something wrong with you.
There is something fundamentally wrong with me. Well, I don't want to blame my parents, but I know whenever I raise my child, that is one thing I will kind of impart, that it's not embarrassing. It's not like dirty or wrong or anything like that. Yeah. I don't know where that came from, but that's just something that like...
No, man, I like it. We're learning about each other.
Yeah, we're getting very deep and
a man,
expressing that to the world.
You can learn a lot about a man by asking about his soup, as we've clearly demonstrated right now. Anyways, back to your point about getting political, which is what a really smart move.
Do you think that is the hottest topic that people... like? Do you think that they are constantly thinking about that? I know, obviously, there are some people that will always be fighting on the social medias and things like that. But for you personally, if there is a one or other thing out of everything in the world, like, what do you fall on? Like, what would you consider?
Give me an example.
Well, like, what's the most passionate thing you are about? Like, if like some controversial idea or something,
it has to be a this or that.
I would say so.
Or can it be like a more broad?
Well, it's like, people identify with things, or their team Edward or something like that.
To put it
right?
lightly, that is one of the topics that are probably not as offensive. Yes.
But it's funny. Yeah. It's
no,
just like,
honestly, I have to think about that. There's not something specific where I'm really gung ho.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that.
Here's the thing, dude. Oh man, I really don't want to get into this, but
we don't have to. We can just skip it in. Yeah.
Well, I don't know how controversial the topics we can.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I hate politics. It's the worst because it just divides people. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if you're talking about like an issue like abortion, where there's a clear one or the other kind of side thing. You know what I mean?
Straight to abortion.
Well, dude, that's
I thought we were going to talk about left-handed, right-handed people, and you're just like, okay.
These are political things.
Well, no, I'm saying I guess my argument is people are more passionate about like if you
people are really passionate about that subject.
No, they are, but only in certain times, right?
Sure.
I'm not again. I'm generalizing.
But all
we don't
I'm
want to.
saying is about that. It's just like okay. So here's kind of where I come from.
Sure.
I'm a very selfish person.
Okay.
So if it does not directly relate to me,
Yeah.
I probably won't be interested in it.
Libertarian at heart. Everyone get out of my politics. Everyone get out of it. Like,
Well, yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna do
Like,
my
leave me
thing.
alone.
You do your thing.
I want to talk about
that's
soup,
it.
man.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, if there's a bill being passed about French onion, I'm there.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? If like they're going to ban French onion, we have a big problem.
So I guess that's my thing, right? Like, let's say in order to vote on something,
Okay.
you had to pay $100
Or demonstrate knowledge about it.
Well, to sign a petition. It's not just you just go on the internet and sign something. Like you actually have to jump through hoops. Maybe it's not paying $100, but maybe you have to, go down to a courthouse.
You have to have
ask for Form 38B and sign something.
That would deter a lot of people. That sounds
exactly.
terrible.
But like, what would you be? And this can be literally anything in the entire world.
Okay.
Petition wise, like, and if you sign it, it happens, and you get one thing. Like what would it be? And maybe let's not make it like super serious because it's just like okay,
yeah, you should have prefaced that.
Yeah, well, so it's like you can change and here's the thing, you can change the ending of Mass Effect.
Oh my god,
you just do it.
That's what I'm saying,
or something like that.
One thing. Do you have one? I mean, you posed this, so I'm sure you have something.
I would like
around.
to change the ending of Mass.
Change the what?
I don't change the ending of Mass Effect. No, I don't.
I've thought about that a long time.
I don't actually have anything. I was just curious. I'm just spitballing.
One thing I could change about anything.
I guess my main thought is, do you think people are always on about politics, or do you think most people are just on about politics when it's in the news cycle and something like that?
I think nowadays we're more because we just get fed that all the time.
Right.
Like even just me hanging out with my friends, like that topic of discussion comes up a lot more than I remember it used to being, to the point where, because like I'm friends with a lot of people who don't really share my kind of same thoughts. Like we disagree on a lot of things, I guess, is one way to put it. So, which is fine. I think that's actually really healthy. Like, because you like the person for more than their political beliefs.
Yeah,
which
sure.
is seemingly rarer and rarer these days. But, so it got to the point where like, yeah, let's like just consciously not bring this stuff up, because it's always, people are very passionate about some things and it always just puts a damper on things.
Right.
I'd rather just be silly and talk about soup and bears cleaning themselves. And
so you're saying, what the hell are you doing, Tyler? Why are you...
No, that's just me, though, Yeah. You wanted an honest thing from me. It's just like, I don't know, dude. Because here's the thing, one petition's not going to change. Like, I'm very much a person, to, I guess, get more serious, that believes, like, legislation doesn't solve a lot of problems. Like, the people are going to solve problems, like, the attitudes of people.
Sure.
So, like,
absolutely.
If in a perfect world, I would say, like, oh, well, you can't be a dick anymore to people, you know what I mean, or something like that.
That would be amazing. Like that would be like,
yeah, but then you make a bad joke and you go to jail. You know what I mean? It's like, so
hey,
it's
man,
like,
it would stop people from it. It would make people at least think.
Oh, that's a whole nother thing. That would be the death of comedy.
What if it's something where you could prevent? Well, no, because you're right. That would be.
It has to come from the people,
sure.
And so, how you solve problems is you just get to know people.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So
you come to some like basic understanding.
I know it's like, isn't it like Pride Month or something?
Yeah.
And my thing is like, if I was like talking to a dude and like I just like this dude, like, he's really friendly and then we're friends or something. He's like, wow, this great guy. Like I could do that without knowing he's gay.
Sure.
And that's how you like. Let's say like someone's homophobic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The way you get them to like accept other people is you have those relationships.
Right.
And then he finds out that, oh, wait, this guy was gay.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, wait, but this guy's really cool.
Yeah, it's taking out what people... So I guess that's the thing,
you know what I'm saying?
like...
It's just like a... I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, it's identity, and I guess that's what I was getting at originally. And maybe this is way too deep for a podcast,
off the rails.
But that's the thing is like you identify as certain things, and that becomes that one point or that one sticking thing that like left-handed, right?
Yeah,
I will always pick left-handed. me and my left-handed brothers.
Yeah, right, exactly.
But at the same time, it's like everyone likes to feel special and feel seen and feel
and be part of a community,
right? And it's just like if we can find other outlets, venues where it's just like it's not a left or right thing, but it's more of and that could be like politics too, but it's more of just like finding common goals and stuff like that. Sure.
Yeah, I mean that's the key, man. That's why I love video games. That's why I love movies and TV shows, because we could have such a different background, but we can both love Batman. You know what I'm saying?
The great unifier,
dude. But in all seriousness, he is like how many people love Batman?
Yeah, a lot of people.
And there's going to be so many different varying degrees of like where those people fall in their belief structures, their backgrounds, whatever.
Sure.
But that's the unifying factor.
Right.
And I know it's funny because it's Batman, but like, dude, Batman's the fucking best.
Yeah. I mean, it's finding that common interest.
Yes. That's what we should be focusing on, in my opinion. Like, I don't know. The other stuff bores me.
Yeah, and that's a whole thing with social media too. Is you can be a completely different person.
I'm not on social media, man.
I know, and that's something that is
best decision of my life.
Yeah, you're ahead of the curve.
Being lazy paid off. So everyone's like, "Oh man, make a Twitter," and I'm like,
"Well, like that's the cool thing now is like get off your phone, get off Twitter." I mean, look at Bo Burnham's new special where it's just like, "Hey, the internet is killing us."
Yeah, dude, it's bad, and that's why I like this, man, because we can just be stupid.
Yeah, and put things on the internet. Yeah, it's
but it's something different. Like, I don't know. I guess we did get a little into something serious, but
sure.
I have the most fun when we're theory crafting a game. We're trying to fix something. We're talking about soup, whatever it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And hey, that's what this is. We're not going to get too deep, but
no.
Speaking of like hypocritical stuff, like if you could name, like, do you have a list of pet peeves? Like, do you have like
some
set?
things? Yeah. Yeah.
You want to hit me with a couple?
Okay.
I want to start judging some.
I can't. It really bothers me when people are like chewing in front of me.
Okay.
I get superhuman hearing when someone's eating with me. I can hear everything their mouth's doing. It's really crazy. Me and Nate are the same with this, by the way. I don't know if it's exactly the same for him, but I know that like it's kind of the same issue. Like I can handle it, but I fucking hate it. I don't know why.
Okay.
Because I'm sure I'm loud when I eat too. But I don't know. It doesn't bother me when I'm doing it. It's just everyone else, I guess. And they're not even loud. It's just like I can hear every little thing.
Is it more sound or visual or just everything?
It's sound.
Yeah.
It is auditory. Is that the right word?
Sure. Yeah.
Whatever.
So I'm the.
So it's not look. I mean, obviously, if something gross happens when someone's eating, like that can happen, but it's not like you're eating normally, and I look, and then it's definitely auditory.
So that's like a logical thing. And now I was gonna tell you mine. So mine is if the waiter kneels down when they're taking your order. I thought we were being silly, but like seriously.
I see.
If the waiter kneels down,
that's what we're doing.
So like I actually have to lower my gaze like to the waiter. Or if the waiter sits,
are you a submissive person?
So I flip.
Because he or she can be above, like they would be above you at that point. They're not kneeling down, right?
Yeah, there are times when I'm just like, I don't care one way or the other, or but like my thing is, I don't like it when they kneel down. I don't like it when they sit or they say how they've been working for 9 years, or whatever.
The sitting thing is.
I don't know why.
That seems unprofessional. The kneeling thing, I understand.
Sure. It's the buddy, and this is a CrossFit where like if a waiter comes up and he's like, oh hey, what's up guys, and then sits in our booth like he's cool.
Like one of the boys.
It bugs me.
Yes. Okay, I'm actually on board with you with that. Yeah. I thought it was strictly just kneeling, like you had a response
kneeling
to someone.
Too, and I don't know why.
I don't know if that goes with the buddy.
It's illogical.
Buddy thing.
Yeah.
Well,
they've been standing all day. They work very hard. They should take a minute if they can.
Right.
I'm just an asshole. Really?
Yeah, you are. Well, okay, so I guess something along that line. I hate when people talk to me at the gym. Mm-hmm. That's the fucking worst. Like there was this guy the other day, and he was a real nice guy. Yeah. But he's like, going around. He's being everyone's fucking friend. Like, oh man, I'll spot
you.
you this set.
Yeah.
And oh man, like what are you doing today? Back tries, like, and then he's just walking around. He's like this old dude, and I have my headphones in. I'm like, dude, I don't want to talk to you. Sorry, man. Like, I'm focusing up here. I just want to be by myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like the time alone. Like, sometimes you just need to not talk to anyone.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah. I will tip a waiter $1 extra for every refill I get.
If I'm ever a waiter, man, and I have you, I'm fucking
up to 15.
sad.
Well, up to $15. So that's the thing is like, if
you have these weird rules like that.
Dude,
where it's
I
like,
have so many weird.
Oh man, if they don't refill my water,
things.
that's $1 off. Or like,
I'm actively trying to have less of an opinion about things, and it's
like
not
that?
It's not going well.
Well,
yeah,
you ever see that show? This you're probably too old for this, but there was a show when I was a youthful person.
buddy, you're 24.
Yeah.
Every time you say when I was a youth, I'm like,
I'm talking about like middle school.
Okay,
that's
go on,
young.
Go on. Yeah.
It was called it's on Nickelodeon. What was it called? It was like something survival guide or something.
Sure.
And it was pretty much about this kid who was like trying to write this book about how to survive like high school and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I just imagine that's you, like just trying to figure out life. Like, okay, here's the optimal way to tip your waitress. You're going to start at this amount, and it can go up or down from here. And here's the max, and here's
I'm
the
like
min.
a perfectionist, right? Like I like to have things sorted into a very particular thing, and I like everything to have its own space. And the problem is, I wish you could see like the transition of my life where I go from a very, very sheltered, Christian kind of, in a box childhood.
Yeah.
Private school, everything.
Yep.
And then there's no transition. It goes from that to public school, full open. I'm walking to school by myself. I'm no longer coddled. It's like you're by yourself and you're in this public
shell
school.
shock.
It was insane. I went from like and granted, the high school I went to was very small.
Yeah.
But still going from 40 kids to, my entire grade to like 150, 200 kids. Like,
yeah.
That's still a big
jump.
a big difference.
Yeah.
And just the idea of like, oh wait, we're not praying before every meal or class or whatever. Like it's bizarre, man.
Yeah.
And so I don't know where I was going with that, but like taking my my kind of different outlooks on life and things like that is all my
dude, it's
upbringing, my parents.
Was this
like
you who told me this? I heard this from somewhere. I don't think it was you.
Okay.
Someone said something along the lines of, if you had a really good author write, what is it, an autobiography or just a biography, right?
Biography.
If someone else writes it.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you have a really good author write a biography about any person,
Yeah.
it'll be fascinating.
Probably.
You know what I mean?
It could be.
Because
Yeah.
everyone's so unique that there's going to be some great stuff in there, no matter who you are. Or some interesting stuff.
I would love for somebody to ask the right questions or bring up the right memories and then try to piece some stuff together for me.
Yeah.
Because like there are vivid memories of certain things in childhood that stuck with me, be it like an embarrassing thing or like an anxious time or something like that. Or like
do you ever sit in bed and you just remember the most embarrassing time and then you just can't fall asleep?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like there. So
is there a word for that?
We're
I feel like
gonna put this out. We're gonna put this out on the internet, so it's gonna be here forever.
Right.
But the most embarrassing time, if we want to talk about most embarrassing times,
oh boy,
I would say I drew a picture of a naked lady.
Obviously,
it was grade school, and I drew it and I put it in my binder, and I'm just like, oh, this is boobs, and I brought it. Like I had it at school and I had like all my school stuff and I went over like a friend's house or something.
Okay.
And I accidentally left the binder at the friend's house.
Big rip.
It was rough.
Yeah.
And we got it back and nothing was said about it. So like I was like sweating at night. Like I'm up all night.
Yeah.
I'm literally drenched because I am so like anxious. I'm like this is mortifying.
Yeah.
I get it. Totally fine. No one says anything. I get it back from I think it was the Slaters, where the
okay.
family. That's how vivid it is.
Yeah.
And I go back to school and everything's fine. I leave it on the bus.
Oh my god, Tyler, just destroy it, man.
It is so bad. So like that's the thing is you get away scot free.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is you're right. I should have destroyed it. I should have been like, oh my god, I just lucked. I hit the lottery.
Yeah.
Never doing this again.
No.
And I don't. And
you weren't even doing anything. It was just sitting.
Yeah,
it's not like you were trying to get away with
but
something.
Still, like then I lose it. That did not work well.
Uh-oh.
So like I was up again last night. My mom comes in. She's like, honey, what's wrong? Like, it was like, I left my lunchbox on the bus. She's like, it's okay. We'll get it back tomorrow. I'm like, oh my God. And then the bus driver, I remember it clearly. Like she calls me up and she's like, hey, is this yours? And like, she shows me it.
Yeah.
It was probably a few drawings. And she showed me like the ones where they were like slightly, anyway, I was a
young
horny little lad.
Oh my God.
And I was like, no, those are mine. She's like, well, it was in your binder. I'm like, oh, that's weird.
Oh, classic. These drugs aren't mine. Yeah. Nice, dude.
But it worked. And I was like, I think it was just embarrassing and awkward for everything. She was like, okay. And she just like threw it away or whatever. Right. But that was it. And I was just like, that is.
How interesting is that, by the way?
What?
Where the first thing where we're not supposed to have something, we say it's not mine.
Yeah. What do you do?
How savage are we? Or we will pin it on someone else. That naked lady's not mine. I think it was his. You know, it was my friend's
act of just self-preservation, man.
Yeah, it's tribal kind of fucking. That's kind of interesting because that's what everyone's first instinct.
Yeah.
You know, 9 times out of 10, it's not mine. Nope, no. Yep. That contraband? No, not mine.
I don't know
how that got in there. It just fucking materialized in there. Yeah, that
was my most embarrassing story. I
don't know, really dude. I've done a lot of embarrassing things. Sure. So the first one that comes to mind.
You don't have to say the most one because I mean,
the first thing that comes to mind. I don't even know. I mean, it's not appropriate, but whatever. We'll fucking do it. We're at this point, anyways. Fuck. This is so funny. Looking back on it, I hope my parents don't listen to this. By the way,
I hope they do. We need the viewers, so it's okay.
True. So I had sex in my car once, and I mean more than once, but there was this particular time, and she left like a handprint on the window, so like it was there.
So very Titanic,
yes,
like
very Titanic. So I think this is so. My mom is Batman, by the way. She can uncover anything I do. I think I'm being fucking slick. Always knows.
Doesn't matter.
Every single time. It's taken me 24 years to stop trying shit and just fucking tell her at that point. But she knows. And like anytime they'd be out of town, I'd have people over. I put everything out. I swear a table would be an inch to the left. And she'd fucking come up. She's like, so who came over?
Yeah,
how many people were here? What were you doing? And I'm like, fuck. It's unbelievable, by the way.
Right.
So I believe that's how she knew about this. There was a handprint or something. And then they must have took the car out and it fogged up and fucking ripped.
And saw it, yeah.
They have me outside on our patio. And they're like, John, just want you to be honest with us. And I'm like, oh, fuck. They know I had sex. And they're like, are you gay?
What was it, like a masculine Andre the Giant put a handprint on your window?
No, the reason is because I'll do this thing where I'm like hanging out with the buddies or something, and like he picked me up and they'll drive me home and we'll just sit outside like talking for a while.
Oh, gotcha.
You know, just like a one-on-one like we're doing, and I just get lost in the conversation. So we'll be out there for like, you know, sometimes an hour or more. And so they're like, they think I'm fucking my friends or something. So they're like, just let us know, like, you know, it's okay. And I'm like, no, not gay. There's nothing wrong with that. But I was like, it was so embarrassing. I was like, oh my God, man.
That's amazing.
Really thought it was just like, I mean, they were not okay with the sex thing. Like,
oh, sure. Yeah. But, as parents are.
Yeah, that was really fun. Like looking back, that's a funny one where I'd have to think like they come up at really random times. Like I'll remember like playing baseball and I make like a significant error and those keep me up at night. There's nothing funny about that.
Yeah.
About
but
fucking your teammates.
That's knowing you and knowing how you expect perfection, but specifically from yourself.
Yeah.
Like that makes sense.
Yeah. Those are rough. When you overthrow someone, I remember every one of those ones, man. But that one is more of a funny one where I look back and I'm like, that's hilarious.
Meanwhile, I'm reminiscing of like, I remember clearly that I was in like a Burger King and I was playing with like my action figures.
Yeah.
And I saw this guy behind me and he was like super tattooed and he was talking to like his buddy or something across the booth. And I kept looking at him and I'm just like, he has tattoos on his face. And up to this point, I thought like tattoos were like a sin or something like that.
Right.
And I just kept looking at her and looking over. And then I remember him clearly where he locks eyes with me. He's like, what? And I'm like, my heart like exploded out of my chest.
That's fucked.
And I just didn't see anything like the rest of the trip.
He's got a tattoo on his face. Yeah. What can you say?
Oh my gosh. It was terrifying. I remember to this day. Like I had to have been like 5, 6, like it was insane.
I had this one where I was working at Target, which was like my first job, and I was a cashier, and you know, I'm a musician, so I'm always like humming or doing something. So there was like a song on, like, you know how they played things at like Target or whatever.
Yeah.
There was a song on, I was like tapping on my chest or something to the beat of it. And then this old lady from across the store just locks eyes with me and starts King Konging like to her chest. And I immediately just stopped and I was like, well, fuck me, dude. That's so embarrassing. I don't even know why. It was just so embarrassing. I was like a teenager. So I remember that one clearly. Memories are weird. Like you remember like the most specific things.
I remember like so you were talking about how your mom's like Batman and she's just knows everything.
She knows.
Right?
It's disgusting.
My poor mom is very smart. She's very shrewd when it comes to like if we're talking about like a CSI program, 5 minutes in she'll be like, "Oh, it was the butler or whatever," and she just knows 100%
with the candlestick in the billiards room. Yeah,
and I remember at Eden Park this one time she was talking like we were saying how our friend Emily could take a spoon.
Yeah.
And like shove it down her, like literally put the entire thing, like basically just like put the spoon down her throat and like close her mouth.
Okay.
And just real calmly, my mom was just like, she must be great at parties. And like me, my sister, and my dad all looked at her like, what? And she was like, that's just super rude. That's very disrespectful to the host. And I'm like, oh, you sweet thing.
Yeah.
Like it's just like not, but like it was just so funny where like, you know, and I think that's a generational thing where like my mom's like 70, right? So like, you know, she just, we grew up in a very older household. So it's just a very different set of rules. I think that's funny. Warped me in one way or the other.
Sure.
But
hey, I mean, that's hilarious. There was something like that. I think it was a stream I was watching. There was this guy and I guess his girlfriend and the chat was like lights on or lights off. And the girlfriend started like chuckling like, oh, I'm not going to answer that. Like that's embarrassing or whatever. And the guy's like, oh, lights on. Like it's and she like looks at him because he's like this innocent guy, right?
Yeah.
And she's like, "What the fuck?" And he's like, "Oh, well, yeah, it's like really bad for your eyes, man, when you're looking at the monitor in the dark." And it was so funny.
And that goes right to like, tell me how your boyfriend won't leave you without telling you your boyfriend won't leave you.
Yeah, man, that was a good one. I liked that one. I was like, "Oh, this poor guy."
That's amazing.
Embarrassing things. That's. Man, yeah, sometimes I'm just up at night, dude. Just fucking, like, the most random thing. I
forged my my mom's signature 4 times and got away with it 3 times.
You are too greedy, man. You fucking need to stop on your head.
It was not great. That was just me being lazy, though. Like, I don't know. I think that I always look at myself as, are you, like, the good kid out of your family?
I am the opposite.
Yeah, see, I feel like I'm always the good kid.
That makes sense.
But like things like that is just mortifying.
Dude, elementary school, I got in trouble all the fucking time.
Really?
Yeah. I actually got suspended from elementary school. And that was a huge fucking deal. It was like I was going to prison. It was like an OJ trial or some shit, dude. Like everyone was
What'd you get suspended for?
I said something like, okay, so, man, this goes back. So
you don't have to say it if you don't want to put it out there.
It was like a threat or something.
Okay.
Like, fuck this guy up or something. That's also the other thing. I was the first kid to say the F word. So I was so cool.
Oh man.
Yeah, I said the F word because my older brother, hopefully he doesn't listen to this. He'll feel so guilty. He told me what the F word was once because I badgered him about it.
Yeah.
And that was a weapon, dude. I said the F word for the first time. I remember I was in a lunch line. I just got in trouble for doing something. I was throwing food or something. Actually, you know what it was?
So you were a rebel, man.
Oh, I was fucking bad motherfucker.
All right.
You remember those frozen pops, those triangle things? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm talking about? They had like the blueberry and the raspberry ones. So I discovered that if you pound those against the table, they're a lethal weapon. Naturally, I started shooting at everyone. You know what I'm saying? Just like, and it's like these mortar strikes going on at the girls' table. It was awesome. And I hit
That's
the
how
ceiling.
You let them know you like them, is you mortar them.
Yeah,
that's just
exactly.
how it works.
Yeah. I mean, how else do you get a girl's attention? But I hit the ceiling and I got in trouble. So I got, that wasn't what I got suspended for, but I was in line. I was like, oh man, this is fucking stupid or something. Everyone was like, oh my God, dude.
Man.
I was a legend instantly. They were like, dude, they thought I was the baddest kid ever.
Dude, I thought the S word was shut up for the longest time.
God.
Like I would go to my mom and be like, Trevor Gunn said the S word. And she's like, what? I'm like, he said shut up. And it's just like, it was like, she just laughed and whatnot. But
yeah, but I remember that specifically. I was,
Did your parents swear in front of you?
No way.
No?
My parents are like yours.
Yeah, mine I assume because that's like Nate's parents and stuff.
My dad will swear because he's got a bit of a temper, kind of rougher edge, I guess.
Yeah.
Like he'll be watching a sports game and he'll fucking cuss like a sailor, but only when we're not in the room.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So he will not swear in front of us.
That's a good example and whatnot.
Well, I used to fucking hear him from the room over.
Have you ever sworn in front of your parents?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you remember the first time?
It started in college when I was just playing games, and I would just say fuck or something, and my mom would come in and she's like, John. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, so she like calls you out on it and things like that.
She used to call me out on it, and now it is not. So it's actually kind of sad. Like, I swear so much now, they don't say anything. I think it's because my little brother's older now. So I have a little brother who's like, let's see, he's like 17. So he's like, what is that?
A baby.
How many years is that younger than me? Like 7 years younger than me or something.
Sure.
So I think it was more like that. Like, hey, you got to be a good example. But I'm like, well,
I gotcha.
You picked the wrong person to be a good example.
I feel like my mom, she had to have heard me swear when we're playing something like Battlefield or something like that, like late at night. And like, I think she just ignored it. She never called me out on it.
My mom used to come in and be like, you can't say that.
She would more than likely like open my door and be like, you have to go to bed. It's going to give you cancer if you don't like sleep right and stuff.
Yeah, my mom used to say
always
that
went
too.
straight
She
to
was
cancer for everything. Yeah.
Well, she didn't bring up the cancer. My mom was always like, you can't stare at that screen in bed and you'll
get cancer in the eyes. Yeah,
it'll fuck you up. Which they're not wrong. I mean,
yeah. Oh, I mean, yes, but
really
we were dumb
but
kids.
I don't care.
You know, don't do it. I remember the first time I swore in front of my mom. It was like I was coming back from like some midnight launch, working at GameStop or something like that, and it had just snowed. Like it was like a freak blizzard, and everything was like covered.
Yeah.
And I slid in the car. I wasn't like driving fast or anything, but I was going down a hill, hit a patch of just like pure snow.
Yeah.
Slammed in the guardrail. Like it wasn't like high speed or anything, but like I hit my head. It completely bent the frame and everything. And I called my mom, and I was just so like jarred. I was just like, "Mom, I'm fucked." And she was like, "What did you say?" I'm like, "You heard me." Because I couldn't say. I mean, that was as pronounced as possible.
The severity of the situation.
Yeah, like when Dad like drove up and he was super mad and everything.
Because you swore?
No, just because I broke his car. You know,
I was gonna say that's probably a bigger issue.
Yeah, that was a thing. But
I have just never been in an accident.
That's awesome. I mean, that's fantastic. Knock on wood. Yeah, knock on wood for sure.
Never.
I've never been in an accident where it's my fault. If that makes sense.
I'm terrified of getting an accident. I actually don't know what the procedure is. Like, what the fuck am I supposed to do?
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing with that is like you don't realize how hard it is. Like cars are hard. They're heavy. Like you were jarred. Like I was going maybe 10 miles an hour.
I've been in a car when we've been in an accident. I know.
Oh, okay.
Like someone bumped us from behind, like going 5 miles an hour, and boom, my head like goes jerked forward. Like, it's crazy. Yeah,
it's crazy.
Like,
you're going it fast. Doesn't matter.
You're going fast as fuck.
It's
imagine
bizarre.
slamming into a guardrail at 80 miles an hour.
As a kid, I never used to wear my seatbelt.
Yeah,
like how fucking stupid can you possibly be?
Yeah,
I just never did it. I was lazy. It was pure laziness. I'm just like, nah, I don't want to put it on.
That's.
And I was like, I'm just going 15 minutes away. Like I was such an idiot.
Yeah. Well, they don't have those things beeping at you.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
were you driving or
no? No, yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, it was 1998 Saturn, I think. So or 2001 Saturn or something like that.
A 2004 Saturn or something. Yeah, those were nice cars. Yeah, I don't know, man.
That's
fucking seatbelts. You should.
I feel like we know a lot more about each other now.
That was a deep run. You know what I'm thinking about?
What are you thinking about?
I keep going back to the RPG we're going to make.
Okay.
I'm really curious
Circling
to see. Yeah, this is what the podcast is, by the way. It's just going to be fucking.
No, I mean,
I am an expert. If there's something I am the best in the world about, it is just randomly just saying shit.
Yeah,
that comes up in my head.
I'm literally going to put it like it'll be like Couch Company, a podcast, and then just a little question mark.
Like that.
Yeah.
So when we do our RPG,
sure.
Okay, so let me just tell you about my philosophy when it comes to games.
Yeah.
Or any medium, actually. Any like entertainment thing. So I think we discussed this a little bit where when we were talking about like best game of all time, where for me, characters are like number one.
Okay.
Like if you have good characters, I'm pretty much on board. Like the story could be okay and like the world could be boring. But if like we have good characters, like that's my number one thing. So, I don't know. I'm kind of curious. Like, I don't know if I'm actually that good of a writer or something.
Yeah.
So, I'm curious to see how we're going to do with that kind of stuff. Because if we're serious about that, which we are, theoretically.
We are this serious as a
serious Sam.
Cancer.
Well, yeah. We'd have to do that. We'd have to have, like, literal dialogue.
We would. So I guess that's the thing is, do you think that we would actually write that? And this is, and you know, we have our friend group. We are actually fairly diverse in terms of like what our interests are, what we like doing and whatnot.
Yeah.
But, you know, we have different people with different professions where, you know, one of our buddies is a writer and like,
Josh,
you know, yeah. So it's something where, do you think that would be something where we would want to write our own dialogue and write our own stuff? Or are we just coming up with ideas, motivations, things like that, and then have like bring in support or people that we think are better writers?
I think
or do you want to take a shot at it?
I think it'd be a little bit of both.
Yeah.
I would want to see what we can do.
Sure.
Like, we have interesting ideas, to say the least.
I think so. I think the backstories are important.
How does that translate? Well, I always go back. We used to... there's this game that Nate has, this board game called Zombicide. For those of you listening, it's like... how would you describe it? It's like a turn-based kind of fucking...
Yeah, it's like...
like a horde mode, but...
Yeah,
but,
actually, that's a fantastic way of saying it.
It's like a horde mode, but a board game. It's a lot of fun, actually. But anyways, he buys all the expansions for them, which are so expensive. Like, that's insane. But
not expensive is, I don't know, a computer or...
True, yeah.
A gun.
Yeah, fair point. But they come with all these, like... So you can play as, like, different characters, and they have different abilities, and there's... Like, he has a whole deck of them at this point because he bought all the... He, like, kickstarted and everything. And what me and Tyler used to do, because we would just be, like, fucking around, as we always do, we would, like, pull out a random card and be like, okay, you know, this guy's backstory is this. And that was always, like, the most fun thing for me. I don't think
Nate really appreciated it as much. Like, the thing with that is, with a game like that, you have a couple people that are very, very much into it, like Nate, which is fine.
Yes.
But then they're thinking about how to beat the game with everyone's characters,
like Nate,
just
Nabby,
by themselves.
And Chelsea.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So those three are taking it very seriously, and they're like plotting out moves ahead and all this stuff. Meanwhile, you and I are just like, hey, here's Milo. He's a little wizard boy.
Kids or like what
what's his motivation?
Yeah.
Why is he even?
Why is he in the guard?
Yeah.
There's like Captain Red or something. He's like a guard, like he's part of the guard or something. We came up with a whole thing for him. I loved it. Like, I think we just need inspiration. Because if you give us a template, I think we do really well. Yeah. And this is actually something I discovered. Like, I'm playing like a D&D game. That you like I'm using a book for the first time. Okay?
Yeah.
Like, with a story pre-written. And that is the perfect setup for me. Because as a DM, for me specifically, I'm very creative and I can come up with random bullshit.
Yeah.
But I'm very bad at planning and having an overarching, like, you know, story or whatever. Like, I'm very bad at that. But if I have a template, like, it's been so much fun.
See, that's a cool thing with RPG makers, because you have like the vanilla stuff, like the baked in things, where you have a fairly robust now. Like, it never used to be this way, but now you can have like expressions and different things like that. Yeah. But you can actually create these characters, and you can hit like randomize, and then it pops a picture up there, and it's just like, cool. Here's an image.
I think that's all we need.
Exactly. I think that's all I think that's just enough to get our creative juices going and figuring that stuff out.
Because from scratch, that stuff. Like, oh man, this guy is a redhead. He's got a big beard. Like,
I mean, the white sheet of paper is going to be the most terrifying thing you could possibly have. Yeah. But like, the moment you put that first, post it on a whiteboard, or you start drawing like a thing of, oh, you wake up in your home and there's a hidden button next to your bed that if you happen to find it, you can go into like a secret
I want to do
a
thing where it's a Fallout 4 thing. Not Fallout. Far Cry 4 thing where if you like sit there for 10 minutes, you beat the game or something. I love that in Far Cry 4.
Do you think we would get down too much of a rabbit hole where at the expense of the overarching story or the overarching plot, we would make it so dense and so like all these minute details? Yeah. Do you think that we would get too lost in that?
I'd say no, because let's look at a really popular example. Divinity Original Sins.
Sure.
2 or 1, whatever. There's a lot of fucking stuff in there.
Yeah.
Like just Fort Joy itself, which I know is PTSD for you.
Sure.
But there's, oh my God, that's the first 1% of the game. There's so much stuff packed into that. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's a perfect example of like, there's a lot of shit, and maybe it wouldn't be like so far down the rabbit hole than us. Like, there's a point where you got to get the reins back, but there's a lot of like random shit. Like, you get off the boat or whatever, and like there's that squirrel that follows you around, remember? And like he has his own thing, and there's a
See, I wonder how they made that. Like, do you think that they have, like, you know, should we be writing out this entire overarching plot? Should we make sure that everything is outlined from a larger sense? Can we do that? Or do we get so drawn into the minute details where it's just like, okay, starting town, what's the name of the town? What's the name, like how many buildings, all that stuff.
I think you can do it either way. I've seen, I guess I'll go back to the D&D thing because that kind of is the same thing, like world building, things like that. There's two like philosophies to that. There's the small to large approach where, okay, we do the starting town, we know the name of that, and then we just go and like we find out about the world like in real time. You know what I mean? As we're designing these different missions or like the story, that's when we're starting to learn about the world, which probably is easier because if you do it the other way, which is the big to small, like you create the world, like here's the different regions and here's the different tribes and here's their philosophies, like that can be really overwhelming. Whereas if you're doing small to big, it's like, okay, we run into this town and oh, here's this tribe and oh, this is what they think and here's these people and they have this really interesting thing and this and that, and then that's where you can start putting in your own things. So, but I would want to do it like, to me, it's just like something we're just gonna fucking throw things against the wall until it sticks. Yeah, you know, it's just like a
literally, because it would be like, you know, my thing is, especially like whenever we get the house and things like that, like I want to have like this big whiteboard. I want to have 1 million Post-its, and I want to have like, you know, these yarns going from like a freaking murder mystery type of thing. I think that would be awesome to mess with and just have this continuity where, you know, once a week, twice a week. Like, I mean, I would assume that as we get more into it, we want to do it more and more. That's what you're going to bed thinking about, waking up in the morning, like just constantly brainstorming ideas and stuff. I think that would be super fun to do.
Absolutely. And so anyways, about my like original thing, like it's like a little nerve wracking for me, but because like the worst thing ever would be to like make a character that just sucks. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because that's like a reflection of like, you're an artist, you know, like it's so personal. Like if you, I don't know, if you're a businessman or whatever, and you like do a bad report or something, it's not like a personal effect on you. Like it might be slightly, but it's not as deep. Whereas like I'm a musician, and if I play something and someone doesn't like it, it's more of like a impactful thing where it's like,
and I think
they don't like me as a person. Because that's like a part of you that's going into that, right? To like those creative endeavors.
And it's tough too, because if you're talking about like a thing like RPG Maker, you're putting it online. I mean, even this, like if we talk through ideas on a podcast and like suddenly people just know about everything as we're like messing around and things like that, like, you know, there's always going to be people that hate it. There's going to be people that say this is done, or we might be thinking we have the best idea in the world, and then it's some obscure anime or some obscure video game that's already been done, and then you have to worry about that. Like, there's
honestly,
a lot out there.
I just wouldn't. I don't know. Part of me just wants to just go for it and see what happens, like where the chips fall. But I don't know. It's tough. I mean, it's such a big project. Like, where do you start?
It is a big project. I think that if I had to start, like, you know, like right this second, a lot of the inspiration that I pull from would be from like D&D games and other things that we've already done. That we've created these
like
characters.
Thok would be in the game.
Yes. Yeah. My orc barbarian from
that's
every campaign. Yeah.
We'll bring that up someday.
Yeah.
We'll go into the deep lore and traditions of Thok.
I think it'd be super fun to do that stuff. Yeah. I think the like next podcast, like talk about it, or you know, have a bonus episode and talk about it or whatever.
I want to start doing like a series where we start brainstorming or something. But like to your point, like you don't want that all to be recorded. Like there has to be some stuff if you're serious about making a product. Although I mean,
or don't put it out, right, and do it at the end where it's like you have this new game that comes out and like, hey, we've been recording this for the past 6 years,
and then you have like a behind the scenes kind of thing,
rather than like a vlog or a video type thing.
It's our first like creative project, so it doesn't matter. Like I'm not expecting anyone to play this or anything. Like it's not going to be an actual like, you know, big thing. So you could talk about it, I'm sure, you know.
I think it'd be super fun to do.
Yeah, I can't wait to start doing that. I mean, like I said, I have so many ideas about things I want to do, and shooting for the moon, like I said, it's like my
maybe that's the subhead: Couch Company, shooting for the moon.
Shoot for the moon, take it to the moon.
I like it.
Yeah, I don't know. That's gonna be fun though. I just look forward to this stuff. Like this is the big thing right now in my life that I'm like looking forward to.
Oh man, that's a lot of pressure.
Not really. It's not anything on you. I just want to talk about bullshit.
No, I think it's great. I think specifically with the like with an RPG, like we could say like, hey, here are the large kind of swaths of characters and their motivations and different things like that, and then you have a guest on like Josh and be like, all right, let's start writing some dialogue. Yeah. Or you have someone like
or he just
like
talks
Miranda
about the philosophy
she
of,
just starts sketching out characters and things.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's what you were bringing up before. Like we have such a diverse skill set that's feasible. You know, everyone has something to contribute. So that would be a lot of fun for sure. But yeah, what are we sitting at, by the way?
I don't know. We're at 2 hours, almost 2 hours right now.
No,
so,
really?
Yeah.
That's pretty good timing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good with that if you are.
I'm good with that.
I think we hit a lot of things.
We have hit everything under the sun, from soup to politics to video games to embarrassing moments.
Yeah,
and the like.
Wow. Anyways, all right, Tyler, why don't you tell the people where they can find us?
You can find us at anchor.fm/couch company. You put me on the spot. I think that's it. That's probably it.
Yeah, that sounds right. I don't know. I know we're on like Apple. And,
you can just search
Spotify.
Couch Company on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, Opencast, Google, whatever Google's podcast thing is.
Right.
We're on there apparently. So
all right, excellent. Well, thanks for tuning in yet again. We'll be back next week with some more random shit, I'm sure.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I can't wait for it. So, all right,
Peace.
Peace.